We are live as well, so here we go, man. This is session 2, AP. We are watching, gentlemen.
It's being live streamed.
They can't hear us, but that's okay.
Excellent. So it's another fine day to play Dark Age of Man.
Okay.
So this is session 2, and you guys have managed to survive session 1.
Have you got it up on
in
yours?
Dredgewater.
What's that?
I'll try to pull it up. You got it play on yours. I ain't even pulled it up on my computer yet.
Fey creature, whatever the heck.
Yeah, I'm watching it already.
There was a couple of wolves.
Yeah, you could bring a couple of wolves back. So that was late spring. So, a couple months have passed. A few months have passed. So it's mid to summer, pretty much midsummer, not quite late summer.
I got my popcorn this time, brother.
Like so what's happened in the meantime? Well, Brother Dunstan, people know that you helped end this wolf problem, but the local vicar, Father Falcone, it looked. He swore that you were talking to the moon in some black magic tongue, and Jarek said, no, that's not the case. That's not the case. So at this point, you would have had more repute, but really, this has just kept you from being burned at the stake. For the most part, your reputation has gone up a little bit, but there's a few people that give you a sideways glance.
To be fair, that sounds like a good use for repute.
Good trade-off.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
To me.
Perfect.
Jarek Smith. Well, it turns out that Jim, through no fault of his own, because 3 is very easy to mistake with 4, actually accidentally gave himself an extra point during character creation. So he already spent his repute, in advance, knowing that he was going to,
He knew he was going to kick ass.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, he does have God on his side.
I'm trying to think where you would put it, but I'm thinking, based on what happened, it really didn't have any effect. So it's okay. You didn't cheat.
Yeah,
it's all right. So that's cool.
But Jim has God on his side. He should have an extra point.
Wolford of Northridge, gets a point of repute, and surprisingly spends it on body.
Oh.
I like to play out of my usual comfort zone.
Right. Yeah. So now this character is extraordinarily competent.
Nice.
When it comes to fighting and all that kind of good stuff.
That's sweet. Well, he did. Technically, he slayed the beast.
My cheat sheet up here,
right?
too.
They slayed the beast, so that's a good way to spin body.
It's a good
way to spin repute.
So, it's easy to run and to play this game because we can refer these
people
things.
Naturally
Right now, I think I have the wrong
spin it
file in my
appropriately.
books.
Yeah.
But,
Or have a tendency to.
Jarek, you were invited to kind of help May shepherd the flock while Father Falcone was recuperating from his broken leg. Is this something you did? What have you been doing for the past few months?
Absolutely. While he's on the mend, it would be my responsibility to preach the good word and help the citizens of this small town. I go where I am needed.
Sweet.
Brother Dunstan, you've been up to physical labor? What have you been up to? Helping with the crops? Or?
I think he would have managed to find something physical labor to do because as a monk you would depend on alms basically, but and the goodwill of the church, right? But given the events of last session, I suppose he would have tried to do menial jobs around the town and maybe fix up an old abandoned structure. Maybe there's some sort of hovel or something where he's been trying to fix up to live in.
Maybe one of the old hovels that one of the families that people got killed by this creature might have used to live in, and now it's unoccupied. So that makes sense.
There you go.
In the meantime, Wolford of Northridge,
2 plus
what
2.
have you been up to?
I'm thinking that maybe with the slight notoriety he got from helping with the wolves, not only has he obviously done some more hunting to stay alive, But maybe he's been training, helping train some of the city watch.
Ooh.
You know, making some coin that way. Maybe he still doesn't have enough confidence to actually be hired by the local lord, and he's not sure he wants to after the experience he had with his own king. But probably training some of the city watch and hunting mostly, and losing all his coin in the tavern.
Right. Oh, and speaking of, it seems like the Samantha.
Always come back around to that.
Donating all his coin to the church is what he meant to say.
Excellent.
Really kind of seems to be, rather fond of Wolford, What kind of relationship they might have, well, that's behind the veil.
Okay.
He's really kind of taking a liking to you, a local hero a little bit,
Nice.
Wolford, Wolf Killer.
I imagine
Now,
Brother Dunstan does a little self-flagellation as
what
well.
That were found in the flour, like really
beating himself with his
the supply of grain.
Right.
Yeah.
And so, like that was supposed to carry
Taking
the
the
village
board.
through until crops are harvested. So, there's still food stores available. There's it's a fishing village, all this kind of stuff. But people are really kind of eking at a miserable existence, even more miserable than normal right now, because of that. And what's been happening is you've been trading with some other communities.
Ooh. Oh, it's getting
some different labor and whatnot, but
it's
like
getting
you've been
interesting
kind
now.
of like slightly dependent upon help.
Ooh.
Lord Washburn.
I love where he's going.
And company and all of it really have been a little more dependent on some, not charity, but just trade with other areas. Now, who was your king up in the north, Wolford?
He's King Osbert.
Oh, that
A notoriously greedy bastard.
okay.
Give
So
you
it's
a
possible,
start.
they've been trading it even as far as that, but just anybody that will trade with a little bit, it's not destitute, but it's just like it really helps. However, as of late, there's been there's rumors of like bandits or somebody kind of waylaying some of these traders.
Okay.
Like shipments that are supposed to be coming in aren't, or people are talking about being accosted.
Mm-hmm.
Both on the way to provide other goods to these other communities, or here, and so that's been happening like relatively recently, and it's a little bit problematic because this is how the community is kind of keeping afloat until the crops come.
He's getting out those 3d6. There's RSC about to go down.
Let's see any other details about this.
Oh damn! Here he goes.
Drop it like it's hot.
Love it. These guys are fantastic, but
And
wait,
most recently, I guess it was poor Will Stevens again. Is just running into town today, and he was out there, herding his Lord Washburn's goats, and he's passing under, parts of Westwood, and where it's adjacent to the fields. He's got the goats, and he sees like something in trees. He gets closer, and he's screaming about it now, and it seems there was like a bodies of at least 3 or 4 people, like hanging in the tree.
oh,
Yeah,
Oh, jeez.
clearly been hung. But he said one of them was hung upside down by its foot,
ooh.
Strange fruit.
and pretty clear, like somebody on the road would see this.
Fascinating.
So he's kind of screaming and carrying on about that in the village square, and in the meantime, oh gosh, what's his name? The Sheriff Bassel was looking kind of grim, and some few people said, "What are we going to do about this? Who are those people?" Etc. So there's like lots of shouts of commotion and consternation. Perhaps you fellas were in the Goldie Finn, enjoying a fine ale or something like that.
Oh, they're in the
Meeting at a
nice
tavern.
end. They're in the
But
expensive
now,
end. The luxury gold leaf.
There's just a commotion. Before it was just reports. Now here's somebody saying that he's found people like hanging there.
What in the hell is going on out there? Let's go see.
Let's.
These people who are missing, who were missing, who were they?
There were some people that were just trading. So some farmers
Traders.
and some of Lord Washburn's men that like are more in Dredgetown themselves.
Oh,
Okay.
merchants, innocent
had been waylaid.
peddlers
But
and
also there
merchants.
were other times when people were supposed to be coming here.
That's going to kill trade. Can't have that happen.
Yeah, if they're hung in the tree line. Of course, they don't know
This
which one it
presents
is.
an obstacle to trade.
Yeah.
We'll
See,
starve.
Eloy, that's an obstacle to trade. Love it.
The loss of the grain and someone waylaying our tradesmen.
Must secure the trade routes. It's paramount to Dredgewater's survival.
It is something we should maybe pray about, gentlemen.
Well, I guess we should talk to. I guess we should talk to the sheriff to see what he knows.
All right, so you're approaching Sheriff Bassel?
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
the hardest working sheriff
I don't
in England.
know anything. Listen, Washburn lost some people, haven't come back yet. A few people have come in and said there might be bandits on the roads.
Ooh.
We just didn't see much. And we've been missing some shipments we were supposed to get in. But what am I supposed to do? Patrol up and down the roads? I mean, who's gonna watch the people here? Who's gonna be the sheriff?
Yeah.
My eyes kind of narrow as he says that. It's like supposed to patrol.
I can't be everywhere at once. And who do you want? You want Cletus to even train and how to like hold a sword? He can't even hold it right.
What does it mean? This man hanged on a tree. Is this meant to be a message?
Ooh,
Is
good
meant
point.
to scare us
That's
off?
a good point.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe they were criminals.
You would think bandits wouldn't do that because then it scares off the next victim.
Wait,
On the body.
Right?
if
Bandits
they were
don't want to scare
criminals,
off their
would
next
you have
victim.
been the one to hang them?
It's a good point.
Yeah,
great-
there's
it's a
something
great
wrong
observation.
here, absolutely. And he points at the fellow that's in the stockade, kind of moaning and
Yeah, it's
complaining.
more of a warning.
Yeah. It doesn't help bandits to scare off trade.
I see.
Caught drunk and disorderly and hitting on somebody else's wife, and so instead of killing him, they just put him in the stockade for a couple of days, and people just throwing Rotten Tomatoes at him.
Brother
don't know-
Dunstan
we
is
don't know who
seeing
it is or
beyond
who
the
it is.
trees. He's seeing the trees for the forest, right?
I don't know anything
Yeah.
about anybody being hanged. Stephen's kid is. He's always finding something ridiculous. Listen, somebody needs to be sheriff here and make sure that people are safe in the town and keep the orders kept. I don't have time to go riding out to the Westwoods to look at bodies hanging in trees.
Absolutely, Sheriff.
But maybe you have the resources to hire someone to go look.
There
into
you
it.
go. Wilfred needs more coin to spend at the church.
Wilford does have a point.
At the church.
Go look into it, and I'm sure
More
that Lord
tithings.
Washburn and all his beneficence will be incredibly thankful, and I'm sure good fortune may shower your way.
Well, if he says it that way, I find it very reassuring.
Yes.
And who better
Yeah,
than
he
the hero, the wolf killer?
That's it.
Well, maybe it was wolves that hanged up there.
I say we go take a look.
So that's
If gambling were not a sin, Brother Wilford, I would
Yeah.
wager the same.
so there's a moment, right,
Let me
where
go
there's a
get my
potential
shield.
obligation. Wolfred is
Yeah.
inviting an obligation, maybe a purse check, right? By saying to the sheriff, there's got to be some coin in this. So I would either
once
call in
we're
a
on the
purse
road.
check there, or there would be a
Talk
trade,
to the Stevens kid?
right? You do this
Yeah.
for us,
Yes,
we'll let you
find out
guys,
where the
have
bodies
horses
are.
or something, some
Go
obligation,
see
right?
them.
Yeah, if the sheriff's
Someone will have to give them a burial.
yeah,
I
has
suppose we're
authority.
as good a crew as any.
We better bring a
Steve-
shovel this time.
I mean, it only makes sense
So
that
Stevens, once again, is as usual, is rather hyped up and what have you. Yeah, they're just
Yeah.
right on the edge of Westwood when I was driving Washburn's goats.
Does anyone else imagine Stevens like an old school young Jimmy Olsen?
Yep.
I'm
That's
seeing him
exactly
as
the
I'm
image
seeing
I
him
got.
as
Right there, I saw him there. I saw one, two, three. My heart started pounding, and I got out of there fast. I didn't know if there was somebody else around that could do it to me as well.
How many of them were there, young man?
I think 4.
I'm seeing him as
There
Chester
were
Dennis
4
Weaver.
bodies hung?
Mr. Dillon!
So?
Mr. Dillon.
How long ago did you see him?
Oh gosh, I ran here as fast as I could. Maybe 45 minutes, an hour ago.
Were they all dead?
I didn't check. They looked dead.
They looked dead? Let's go then.
Let's go and
Were
see.
they? Did you,
I know.
Mr. Stevens, young man? Have you bore witness to a traditional hanging before?
Ooh.
I can't say that I have.
Then peace be with you, my son, and let us be on our way.
Yeah, Jarrett may want to go there and form some
Jarrett,
rites or
You're welcome.
I
burial.
would borrow
Brother Dunstall wants to.
a wheelbarrow, if any is available.
Mm-hmm.
We'll have to bring the bodies back
Yeah, I
to
love
the church
that.
for burial, I suppose. Or should
There
we
you go.
bury them out on the field?
Adherence to
Yeah,
both
is there a
genre,
wheelbarrow
and
that
character.
old, Hummer
I love
he took
that.
over?
right?
Yeah.
Perhaps you're right.
It's adherence to the whole genre
And we
and
do
to their
have that
characters.
trebuchet.
Oh, you mean the travois?
The travois. Sorry.
You don't want to put those buttons
Jeff,
in
you
there,
said,
they
yeah,
won't be very
you
fast.
can
That would
shoot
be
them back in
nothing
the
to
That
town.
would get them there real fast, but you know.
Yeah.
It would. It would.
I like my idea better.
Jose and Eloy's OSR will be called Trevor.
All right, we'll stop
Trevor.
by my house and see if we can find
The
a
OSR.
wheelbarrow and a shovel. And I ask again, the Father Smith, should we bury them on the field or bring them back to the church?
I think we should decide upon seeing their situation.
Perhaps that is wise.
For we would not want to scare folk
Yeah, those remaining.
if something most unholy may have happened.
He's very mindful about the
If
community.
that is the
Right.
case,
Yeah.
Father, then I say
Upturning
we
it.
cut down
Yeah.
the bodies, dig graves by the road, and wait until nightfall.
Said that. Yeah,
Might
I like
be
his.
I mean,
his
even
response.
hearkening back to the last episode when they dispatched the creature,
Yes,
Jarek.
Yeah.
I was like, we don't tell people about
At a
stuff like
minimum.
this, right? It's
exactly.
amazing. Yeah,
At a minimum.
right. Which technically would affect their repute.
We won't know
Right.
until we see who they are.
You drag back the
how
dead wolves,
if
they get
were
repute for
simply
stopping the
know if
wolves,
they
but
were killed
nobody knows they've
before
killed
hanging.
this creature, right?
Exactly. Exactly.
All right.
They're the only 3 on the
There you go.
planet
So
that know
the
they dispatched
trail,
that
like
creature.
to west.
Yeah,
of
he's
it, you know, where
keeping a
Stevens
certain
kinda told you
narrative.
where they
Yeah, I
were.
love it.
It is adjacent to the river for a good long time, and there's tributaries of the river and what have you, kind of, you know. And so you go past some of the fishing areas, and on your way to at one point, like one of the fishermen just like comes running up to you. It's like, help, help!
Yes, my son, what do you need?
Is Paul's been attacked, and Ralph Rafe might be dead. I don't know, like, but
Uh-oh.
we need help quick.
I wonder if this is another
Oh.
RSC, or if this is the same...
There was 3-4 men, but
Oh, bandits.
Yeah.
This might be bandits.
they came in so fast. We had our nets full of fish. We had a good catch, and next thing you know, they bashed Rafe over the head, and they let all the fish go. I don't know
I
what they
love
wanted.
that they showed their motivations
What manner of men
Yep.
were these?
before they set
Did
out.
they bear
Yeah.
any coat of arms or the arms of anyone we know?
Some of them had strange stitching on their coats and everything, but that was it. And they spoke a strange language.
Oh, no.
I know that they grunted to each other. I couldn't understand a word they said.
Oh. So we're 20
Well,
minutes
Jim's king.
Big, blonde men.
in pacing. They're 20 minutes in, and look how much we've already
No, actually-
seen and heard,
A
right?
little bit wiry,
Oh, yeah,
actually.
yeah.
Most of
Pacing.
them.
It moves.
Great.
Not Danes.
It's some
Let us go.
gymnastics,
is good
mental
news.
gymnastics.
Yep.
Haven't fought a Dane in a while. I don't know. But let us go.
Oh,
We
jeez.
let us go see to this man. He's wounded, you say?
Yeah, I don't know if Rafe's going to live or not. So, this fellow, like, very excited. Clearly a fisherman, stinks of fish and mud. Is bringing you back to where there's like 3 other guys that have been like pretty much like it looks like they've been like hit with. One of them looks like he's been hit over the head with some blunt object.
Ooh.
Another one is clearly bleeding out. Has been stabbed with something. Another one looks like he has a pretty awful axe wound.
Jeez.
All their fishing gear, like their nets, everything else seems to have been destroyed.
Waylaid.
Is either one of them? Do any of the 3 look like they're savable?
The fellow with the axe wound looks like, well, he might live, although the plague will probably take him once he gets the fevers. The fellow with the that's knocked out looks like he's okay. He's just been taking one hell of a blow to the head. Mm-hmm. Maybe he'll be, who knows? He might die. One fellow is not going to make it.
Yeah, Stabby's not making it?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to rush to the gentleman with the axe wound and try and get his attention.
Yeah.
And see.
A little priest collar would really set him off.
So doctors triage. They save the one most likely to survive.
Are you coherent?
Priests triage the one most likely to die.
Just forget the interruption. While these guys talk to them, I'm going to start looking to see if I can tell anything about the foes from their tracks.
See, I love this, right? It's the other thing about player agency. They're simultaneously doing other things. They could be in different places.
Jarek, go ahead. Give me.
But even when they're together, they're following their own motivations.
I'm sorry, you didn't even ask to heal.
And it's not hard to do.
Yeah. Oh, no, that's coming. Don't worry. That's coming. I just wanted to make sure he's conscious.
Father, it's you. Am I to see the Christ today?
If I have my way, sir. Not today. I don't believe it is your time. And now I will try and heal.
While he's doing that, I'm asking the fishermen who came to us to bring water and clean linen to bind their wounds.
Nice.
I can get you water. Clean linen?
Or cloth. Some manner of...
No, rags. Yeah.
Uh-oh.
Okay. So he's bringing you cloth that's not clean?
Yeah, it's not gonna be.
This fellow that the good Jarek is prayed over. He seems to be much calmer. Doesn't seem to be as much pain. It looks as though he may lose his leg. You're not sure. Lining it up, the linens that he was giving you, Brother Dunstan, aren't exactly clean.
Oh.
Yeah.
They'll have to do. Yeah.
But then again, what do you really know about infection?
Exactly.
I just tried to wash the blood off and bind the wounds as best I can with a bandage on it.
Yeah.
Wolford, give me what have you rolled?
Oh, I hadn't rolled.
And I mind roll, I suppose.
And I said to the fisherman, go to town, find a healer, somebody who knows.
Nice.
I got a 7. A 10.
Okay.
So there's a great example of Eloy issuing orders to a fisherman.
Would tourniquets be a thing yet in this?
That's a prestige check to send that guy to town to bring back a healer, right?
I don't know if they knew enough anatomy. Well, probably in places like the Middle East.
Okay.
But probably we forgot that. Where to place them.
Yeah.
Probably
gotcha.
It's the dark age of man. There ain't a whole lot of that kind of knowledge
around them, and just hoping that
they would suture them. They didn't know how to suture them.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Awesome.
Well, I'll tell them to fetch a healer because I don't know how to suture. So.
See, and that's a prestige check to determine, or a luck check to determine whether this guy's successful at bringing a healer back.
He runs off to go find somebody to sell this poor fellow up. The guy that's got the stab wound, he breathes his last. Wolford, you can find several tracks. Looks like it's hard to tell for 4 men, maybe more. But like once it gets to be that many people, it's a bit tough to really tell. There's a whole bunch of fishermen's tracks you've got to kind of, figure out and get over. But good enough you could start to be able to isolate the tracks of the people that, probably came from a different direction, weren't the fishermen. Lead off into Westwood. You could certainly follow them. It looks like the trail is fairly followable right now.
I want to see Wolford take on all 4
and as
at
you
once
get
by
farther
himself.
and farther away from
that would be epic.
The area like where all the attacks happen, and where the fishermen seem to be most often. It looks like it could be from 4, 5, 6 men. Certainly more than 1 or 2.
Jeez.
Wolford could take 6 these knuckleheads.
And Brother Jarek saw that the wounds were swords and axes, that kind of stuff, right?
It looked like one blade of some kind, knife, sword, axe, something like that. Definitely one axe.
Both.
It's got that kind of really ragged splitting of the flesh. Yeah, dull blade starts pushing the flesh into the bones, like get crushed by it. And definitely a blunt weapon of some kind hit this poor fellow on the head, or he just got lucky and took the flat of the blade. Yeah.
Did they steal anything or just beat him to hell? I missed that.
I think we have a trail, friends.
Destroy their equipment and beat them to hell,
but they didn't take anything.
I don't. He didn't say if they took anything.
He just killed 3 fishermen, tear their nets. Is this a Northman raid?
For no good reason.
Why else?
They said they weren't Danes. The reason you do something like that is if you want them to leave.
Right. That's right. Warning them out of their territory. Get out of my territory.
Why?
Right?
Yes. Is their ultimate purpose to starve the village? Let us see.
They have a mystery. You're gonna have to hunt them down and get information.
Alrighty. Following the trail is not that hard, really. I mean, these guys, maybe weren't making an effort to hide their tracks. Maybe they're just not very good at it. But it leads you through Westwood a little bit. It leads you pretty much like as you continue to follow the trail, you see it sort of veers a little bit towards the fields, and you can see the bodies hanging there. And the trail just heads right there.
So we'll examine them, see how they were killed, if they were, hanged like an execution or.
Alrighty. Let's see. Do you give me mind rolls? Yeah, probably. Who could possibly fail these?
I got a 4.
Okay.
No idea.
Let's see if we can cut them down and inspect the bodies better. Are they far up? Can we reach them or?
No, it's not so far. Like it's not that hard to cut these guys down. And in fact, one's been hung. Clearly had his neck broken. By being hanged. All of them have puncture wounds in them.
Oh, okay. So they may have been killed and then
down.
hung from the trees versus executed.
It all, looks like they were all, either they were
stuck while they're
as you're cutting them down. It's hard to tell. Did they die in the tree? Were they hung up there after they were killed?
Wow.
You don't recognize any of these men.
The puncture wounds. What kind? Is it all in the same place?
No, they just seem to be all over the place. One of these guys has had his face beaten pretty bad.
And this is at the edge of the wood, right? This is a tree by the road at the edge of the wood.
Tree by the road. I mean, so the actual road, one of the roads leading west out of here, passes right by this wood. And so it's not that far from the road. Like if you were on the road with a cart, walking on the road, you would definitely see these bodies. And you can see the meadow where the goats would normally be grazed as well, right adjacent to there.
Brother Dunson, before we cut these bodies down, does this configuration look familiar from any of your studies? I know you are far more attuned to these types of things than I am researched.
That's a good idea. I try to remember, see if I have seen anything like this described in one of those forbidden tomes that I carry.
Sweet.
So that sounds like a mind roll, right?
Yep.
It does.
Again, player agency. He can kind of define what he's doing and roll the dice, right? Ivan would set the DV here, so he can claim that.
He rolled it just on the floor.
Right. But again, player agency, he can say what he's doing, call out mind.
It was an 11.
It was
And
an 11.
Ivan just sets the difficulty of what he's trying to achieve.
Yeah.
Some of these look like
We want to see more of that. We want to see more players taking
I don't
charge.
recall
Right?
anything like this.
Define
There
how
are
they
other
use
ways
it,
to
which
find.
indicates
Right.
attribute.
You want to
Let's cut
see
him down.
you want to see Jim
Where
pray.
does the
I'm
trail
going to
lead?
pray for these people and roll the
Woofer.
dice, and he sets a DV. And
the
depending on
westward.
what he's trying to achieve for those people.
Deeper into the westward.
2 is not
Trying
going
to
to
puzzle
probably
us
get it
out.
done.
I
Though.
say before we follow them, we
You can't discern
dig
anything.
graves for these men. By the time we're done, it should be nightfall, and there's other things I would look into. If Father Jarek doesn't object.
What do you mean?
There are other means by which to find out what transpired here.
Oh, a little ritual.
I have learned
Jeez.
to turn to
He's going to
Turn
do a
an
little.
eye.
He's going to do a little
It's got a
sight.
blind eye.
expertise.
Brother Dunstan's going to do a little seeing.
So let us start digging.
Love it.
Hopefully we'll be done by nightfall.
Yeah, it's summer. It's not that hard to bury these bodies.
But I don't want to
Right.
bury them. I want to just leave the graves open, but not put them in quite yet. I want night to fall.
Okay, I gotcha. Sure.
And I build a fire when night falls, and I say, well, let's take them a little bit deeper into the wood, right, to go away from prying eyes.
I don't think
So I look around
Brother-
while the guys are still digging. and
Jared
I
ain't
look
gonna
for a
like this.
clearing, a small clearing.
Yeah, I don't think
Because we're
so.
like
No.
by the edge of the wood, right? So there should be one there.
Yeah.
And once I have identified it and night has fallen, I bring one of the bodies, one whose head
Be
looks
here.
pretty
See,
much
no, you
intact. And I lay it down on the ground. And I look at it and I start scribing strange signs on the ground around it. Then I draw my knife and
Jarek's
cut
praying.
myself
I know. He's
on-
grabbing
on
his iron cross.
part of the
Yeah,
pound.
he did. He's
and
praying.
draw a little bit of blood, and I paint symbols on their eyes and on their mouth, right around their mouth, and I say, what do I say?
Trying to get him to speak, I think.
Yep.
Antes que Hades se quede con tu alma, despierta, habla, ¿qué fue lo último que viste? Di el nombre de tu asesino. So I am imploring his soul before it enters Hades to speak some final words and speak the name of their killer. Name their killer.
Cool. Two won't do it. Let's see.
Let's hope for a little
You
bit.
think
better.
you
Come
won't
on,
do
come on, come on.
Nice.
9 plus
Okay.
3 minus
12.
12. So
Ooh.
it's decent.
Dang.
It's decent.
Okay. Cool. All right. Wicked. Let's see here.
I love it. It's just
So-
so easy to play this game.
It's really kind of eerie. First, the face starts twitching a little bit, parts of the body twitch just
It's
a
so
little bit.
fun. They pass his,
Here, clutches
pass
his
it back
cross
and
a little
forth.
harder.
Yep. You got any
And-
peripheral narratives going on?
You know, one of the men's one eye opens and another one does, and the mouth starts kind of gyrating a little bit. And he starts moaning. And it's gasping in breath, and you can hear like the sucking chest wound.
Mm-hmm.
And he looks up at you. What do you want? Put me back.
Oh, shit.
Who has skilled you, and why?
I don't know. Who? They spoke strange language. They said none of our goods were good to make it to Dredgewater.
Oh, no.
And that
So they are interrupting
people
trade.
would starve.
Purposely interrupting trade.
and rot.
Be at ease.
Let people starve and rot.
We will bury you and bless your body.
I'm thinking Irish.
Rest.
They might be
You
Irish.
have earned it.
Speaking
And
that Gaelic.
And with some
Yeah,
water from
The
my
last.
water skin, I cleanse the blood from his mouth, right? And I wipe it clean. And then lift the body up again and take it back to the guys. So now we're ready to bury them.
Nice. So
And as
Jarek
we
and
do,
Wolford didn't
I
see that.
tell the guys,
Yeah.
Okay.
Take 'em away.
Okay. I missed that.
there
Yeah,
isn't
me
much
too.
to learn that we didn't know already. These strangers with their strange tongue killed them. But the reason does seem to be to disrupt trade and starve the village, as we suspected with the fishermen.
So they destroy the fishing
Which means
boats.
that our sheriff doesn't know the threat that there is to his town.
Indeed.
Does he ever, though?
Good point.
Could this be
Good.
the work of, what's his name? Mott.
He's talking about, yeah.
He may have hired him.
To starve the village so he can take over?
Yes, he's always fighting Lord Washburn for property. Voldemort is this vile plan of his.
All these
And
noblemen
who-
have the same
when Ivan does
I was
that,
like-
he means it
Yeah.
because he's naive.
I know.
He probably doesn't know who's causing this problem, right? You know what? And that's the beautiful thing about naive narrating. It doesn't matter. What matters is somebody's doing this.
But
You don't
what
have
about
to.
strange
You don't
stuff?
have to always know where the dots
But
connect.
he does
Right.
hate
Oh, yeah.
the Lord Washburn. So
It's like a narrative.
If it's part of his major dilemma, then he might know who's causing it. But
The missing
if it's
piece.
an RSC, it doesn't matter. Somebody's trying to do it.
Very
right?
well, Father.
Yeah.
Say some words
And
over these.
they want to either
souls.
remedy it or not remedy it. It's that's what I love about naive
Send them
narrator.
to
You
the
don't have
rest.
to know why these guys are doing what they're
I
doing.
will lay myself to
Now
sleep.
they can go on their own way.
So I love that. So when Ivan
Right.
shrugs, it's like he probably doesn't know what the Mort's behind it,
Yeah, and then
which I love.
I'll help you drink, Father.
He said, "I'm making this up as I go along."
put them all
Indiana
in
Jones.
their graves and buried. I'll definitely say prayers.
And of course,
That's right.
while I'm helping put it in the grave, I check to see if they have any coins.
Coin, yeah.
useful
Oh
items.
man, who has Jarek got himself in
Seems
with?
like nothing.
He's got himself in with
left on these guys. You know.
what did they call him last session?
Yeah,
A
they've been
demon
big
worshiper. And Wolford is robbing
That's why your night
graves.
passes uneventfully. You know. Morning comes, it's beautiful.
Jarek is
Yeah, well,
probably.
he's a sellsword.
Yeah, exactly.
You
I
see
think
the deer
Jarek's
poking
probably
through
doing a
that,
lot
yeah.
of praying at night. right? When
Poking their
they're
heads out of the
sleeping,
woods.
he's praying to
Oh,
sleep their butt
yeah.
off.
Trying to eat before the ghosts
Please,
get murdered.
God,
For the-
help me,
for
help
you.
me change and guide these
Well,
men
the trail
to.
must have gone cold by now, but at least if we can follow it, we can see where they spent their night.
See where they.
If we can find their lair, they're bound to return to it at some point. Perhaps we can set an ambush.
Indeed. So there's at least there's probably around half a dozen of them. Could be a couple more, a couple less. So,
Right, well, the trail itself gets a little cold just because at this point, it looks like they might have been taking the road itself.
mm-hmm.
It doesn't appear. I mean, it appears like many people cross back and forth, so you're able to find this trail from the fishing area to here pretty easily.
Okay.
Once you get here, it's pretty tough. It's not really, but you're also. I mean, it doesn't look like they took off in any other direction either. So it looks like it just kind of terminates here. And then you might have had guys on the trail itself, which is almost impossible to follow just because there's so many people that go through here. Yes, they took that trail, but so did everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So if we cannot follow them any longer, then maybe we can go to a fisherman's village or area that hasn't been attacked. Take it out.
It's a good plan, right?
Or
If you know they're
maybe
trying to,
your friend, the trees here, won't know where they went.
if you're trying to accost all the fishermen and stop them from fishing, it's not a bad idea. Because they're bound to hunt. They're bound to
You're
target
always
another group of
asked.
fishermen.
Yeah.
If I had a shekel for every time I've had to pray for you, gentlemen, church would be funded for a millennia to come.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a tree, Father.
Take me to the last place you saw, where you lost the trail.
I pointed out.
Okay, I'll look around, see if I can find some blood or something.
Yeah, that's pretty easily discernible.
It was last night. And there is some blood. And nothing else. No, nothing else was found. Like we didn't find any clothing. Just a trail.
Just a trail.
The footprints, yeah.
I'm gonna try something that I read about in this book, and it may not work. So, be not alarmed if a beast should come out of the forest. And I step into the trees, deeper into the trees, and I'm gonna try and.
Eloy has just outlined the failure, right? By saying that if he fails, Ivan can draw the beast out of the forest.
I think Brother Dustin went to a different kind of seminary that you did.
Right? I mean, he's already
That
given
is
us the
for
failure.
certain.
The failure is a beast may come out of the
How
woods.
hard
Right?
would it be?
Yeah, he
Is it extremely
conceptualizes
hard?
the whole.
Correct. So we already know what the failure is.
Into a dog, that's pretty
Right?
hard.
So that's sweet. He's
Yeah, 'cause
defined that
it might be beyond.
which means he's going risk reward. There's a big risk here. There's a beast that may come out of the woods, but that means he's going to want a pretty good reward for this, right? Player agency. He's defining the failure as a pretty good risk. That should say he's
It's only bad
expecting
if
a
you-
good
if you fail, have a
reward, right?
critical failure.
Yeah, it's shared informed information that he's supplying. So they're playing off of each other, which is the whole.
Yeah, but because
In the
we
game,
want
you know.
players taking agency, He's already defined how bad it's going to be.
Well, that's why Ivan's the presenter. He's just like a player too.
That's
it.
That's it.
So you set those parameters.
Now, Eloy didn't have to do that, but by doing that, that gives Ivan all he needs for the failure, which is brilliant. Yeah.
Enhance his play.
Espíritu del bosque.
And it's a dance. Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's a partnership. Across the table.
Hermanos de la cacería. Vengan, que solicito su ayuda.
Sweet.
So that is an 11 total.
Nice.
Okay.
Nice.
11 total.
So
we're seeing the value of magic in the game, right? It's helping them when they're stuck.
Runs up to you like a dog.
Oh, nice.
So I kneel down and I try to sort of grab its head between my hands and look it in the eyes and say,
"It's got wise eyes, not like a dog at all."
Nice.
Smell the trail, brother. Lead us to our quarry. We hunt to keep our pack safe.
Oh, that's sweet.
yeah.
So
that's sweet.
He runs around. He starts sniffing the trail, sniffing the blood. Lifts up his head, howls.
Oh fuck!
Pardon
my French.
Except it's daytime. And then goes tearing off down the trail towards Dredgewater.
Holy shit! Are they in
Dredgewater? Right towards the town.
Yeah, that's an about face.
It's the best lead we've got.
Dude, that's...
follow.
They went to town. Went into town. They could have went out.
Yeah. Well, or they're staying there. They're chilling at Blackleaf Inn, having a beer after they've mauled people. Right? They don't have to be in hiding. Nobody knows they did it. They're all dead. Right?
Well, it might be. The raiders might be attacking again.
We'll go get a drink real quick.
Maybe that's why it's headed back. Come on.
It's just a wolf, Father. Come.
Well, the wolf runs like a good, quarter mile down the road, and looks back at you and just howls again, looking at you guys expectantly.
Okay, I'll follow. And pray I can come up with the explanation before we get there.
All right. So this wolf,
Jarek's the PR guy here. He's like, oh damn, I'm gonna have to. He's got to be the PR smoother over.
He'll run around impatiently, waiting for you guys to kind of catch up.
Jarek, Spin Dr. Smith.
Down the road again. As it's getting closer to the town, people starting to look up, seeing this, But first, it seems like the first people take to be a dog, and they realize, oh gosh, it's a wolf. Some mothers grab their children, and playing outside and run them in. Will Stevens, is taking his goats out. It's like, ah! And shoving the kids out of the way of the wolf, which runs by them. The goats panic. And now, there's more people are getting, there's some more shouts as the wolf runs right into the village.
Ooh.
Making a beeline right to
sleeping with the enemy.
Yeah.
Right for the
Blackleaf Inn.
Blackleaf Inn.
They are at the Blackleaf, but I tell you, they're breaking bread at the Blackleaf Inn after a hard day's work.
Yes,
and lets out this blood-curdling howl.
Ooh. He has found the prey.
Check in there, wolf herd.
Oh, nice.
And I kneel down to the wolf once more.
Dude,
this is a rough place to have this.
Brother of the forest.
And all the people in the village watching him talk to a wolf.
Do not bother these people anymore.
Oh, I love it.
Go.
And it runs, and you see it running back the way it came.
Yeah, that right there is repute, right? Because people would have seen him talking to a wolf and commanding a wolf. That's instant repute for me,
once the ghosts
right?
have been panicked thoroughly.
Yeah, I would give him repute.
But then again, it ties into the last one where the wolves were actually...
That's what I mean. These people see him talking and giving wolves commands.
I forget.
I mean, they're not going to forget this.
Jules is there.
The village knows that the wolves are the problem.
Some kind of stew, always a pot of
so he could be misconstrued as somebody.
Correct. You can give him a repute, And it still hurts his prestige, right?
And there's there's a couple people, locals in there eating at this rather early hour, but grabbing some food. A couple people there, drinking some very watered down ale or mead, and a few fellows you don't recognize. Sort of longish hair.
Mm-hmm.
Are they armed?
Looks like one looks like he's got a knife. Other one may or may not be armed. One fellow, among them is like, a little bit bigger than the other fellows. Like jet black hair, sort of greasy. bit of a scraggly beard.
To the patrons that are just eating, the locals, I want to go around and discreetly tap them on the shoulder, offer a prayer.
Yeah.
Maybe lay a coin on the table for them to
leave.
Head elsewhere for the evening.
Take this coin to the Gold Leaf Inn.
All right, that make an
Genius.
influence roll, which we're very good at. Or what is that? A
prestige?
Prestige roll. There, you're really good at this.
He categorically failed all the last ones.
11 total.
Whoa!
Dang, what's up?
Maybe it's your time as shepherding the flock, even though not everybody here is Christian. Maybe it's just your time in the community.
Yeah.
People sort of respond to you a little differently than they once did.
Nice. I love how Ivan's
and they
describing
take your suggestion.
Yeah.
To vacate.
I thank you, friends.
And
may your day be peaceful.
It's very clear.
And Jarrett did it discreetly,
these
which
three
is
fellows sitting at another table.
Yeah.
See you doing this.
As all this is going on, I'm gonna take a look at them. I'm just looking at them. I'm not trying to hide the fact that I'm looking at them. See if I see to see if any of them look like they're splattered with blood.
Give me a mind roll.
It's a terrible thing to waste. All right, that's a total.
I knew he was going to get to the point where he said that.
Their clothes are stained. Some of it could be blood that's been washed off.
Okay. But nothing.
It might be theirs, might not be, but nothing. They're not spattered with,
Cut themselves shaving.
Dark Age of Man with popcorn. Man, you can't beat it.
I know, man.
I tell Brother Dustin.
Pop my popcorn. Get the bag in there, too.
We'll tell Jules.
Perfect combination.
I go over to the bartender and I tell him that. I say, Jules, we think these people are trouble. Sheriff has asked us to look into it. I suggest you step outside for your own protection, for your own safety.
Dude, I love it.
All right, we're going to need a prestige roll from you, too.
Mm-hmm.
That's going to fly swimmingly.
I know, the
with
poor
a beautiful 0 modifier.
Better than -1.
Okay, well, what are you talking about? You're not going to do anything here, are you? They're paying customers.
Not us.
Oh, he's concerned about his pocket. Yeah.
Perhaps you should go find the sheriff.
There you go. That's good. That's great advice.
Listen, you're not going to cause trouble here, are you?
Do I look like I can cause trouble? It's them who can.
Look, they've given me more than anybody has in a while. These guys have coin to spread around.
Have they been here before?
I've never seen them before.
Well, we think they killed 7 people by the Westwood.
Nice.
These people might be extremely dangerous.
Yeah, yep. Beautiful.
Dangerous?
7 dead.
Just yesterday.
Yesterday.
Only dangerous to his pocket.
do you have proof of that? Come on, these fellas have 3 rooms. They're eating a good amount of food.
Look.
Drinking beer, asking for wine. I don't have any wine.
Wolfhard is just going to talk to them. I'm just saying, they might not take it peacefully. Perhaps you should leave.
Duck behind the bar.
I'm not going away. This is my place. And if anything's broken, you're going to pay for it. You'll repair it.
For it.
Don't say I didn't warn you. And I turn around. I lean over towards a passageway toward the kitchen or something, just so, because I don't want to be like just in front of the
middle of the shit.
Right. Cut off their escape out the back way, right?
Yeah.
A couple more fellows actually come down the and join them.
Oh, jeez.
Nice.
Oh.
All right, so I walk over to them and say,
Y'all ain't from around here, is ya?
literally, it's like, you men, travelers?
So they look up at you. 2 of them just look at the bigger dude, with the greasy black hair.
We'll see if they speak their language, right? Because they were speaking some language that was not recognizable.
Yes, travelers. And he's got this weird accent.
Yeah.
Where are you from?
Oh, I'm from quite far away, from Gaul.
Oh.
From Gaul. Is that far to the south?
Past Hadrian's Wall.
Across the ocean, small ocean.
Looks like they don't have many good woodsmen in Gaul.
What do you mean?
Because good woodsmen would not have allowed themselves to be tracked all the way from the west
fuck, that was brilliant.
Let's see.
Jerk snaps the
oh, I love it.
where he has
I love it.
Doesn't reach for
Jerry's
the
already getting ready.
Just discreetly unsnaps it.
Dude, I love it. Good woodsmen wouldn't let themselves be tracked all the way
I'm
back
not from here either.
from the murder scene.
These swamp men in the Dredgewater, they're not great trackers, but up where I live, if you want to eat, you learn. So it's simple matter to track at least 5 men who butcher helpless fishermen.
Oh, I love it.
Who hang helpless traders all the way to an indoor.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's
accusing us
more
of a crime?
No, I'm telling you, I tracked you from where you did all that.
Yeah, I love it, dude. It's a John Wayne scene right here. That's what this is. This is a John Wayne scene. No, I'm telling you, I tracked your sorry asses all the way back from that damn bush.
I'm going to need what? Prestigious.
It's awesome.
Or just plain old luck.
All right. A luck roll. I like it. And I rolled a 9.
Wow.
Okay. I think you owe me an apology. I have done nothing. And he stands up. A couple of the other fellows are already standing up.
Hey.
An apology for pointing out that you have no woodcraft and you left a trail like an old crone drinking ale? Why would I apologize for saying the truth? Don't they say the truth in God?
I'm tired of this conversation. You are a pig.
Not the first time I've heard that. But the sheriff will be here soon and we can sort this all out.
There you go.
See, everybody, they'll know I'll be telling the truth. I am renowned for being the best hunter right now in Dredgewater.
Mm-hmm.
And it was Wolfhard.
Mm-hmm.
It's about this time. The door to the Blackleaf opens.
Mm-hmm.
A group of people begin to walk in. There's got to be like 7 or 8 of them. They look haggard. Nobody you recognize. Actually, no. There's one fella that's from Dredgewater Downs. You've been there before, and you recognize.
This is another RSC. Is he introducing a new RSC? This is tricky. Now it's tricky.
Their eyes are adjusting to the darkness, having been coming from daytime. And one of the ones screamed, "That's him!" And he's pointing right at this guy with the black hair.
Okay.
The one that killed Mary, the one that lit the bar on fire.
Bar on
Who's
fire?
the liar now?
I've had enough with you. All right, so now.
Oh, we got a big mob.
I need you to roll
Mob/pack here, I think.
D12. This is a combat roll.
Combat roll. Excellent.
Here we go.
So is he attacking me then? He pulled out a weapon and attacked?
He hasn't pulled out a weapon.
Okay. Combat roll, it's a total of 9.
All right.
Nice. And I think he has like 4 body now, right?
And this is noblesse oblige.
Yeah, I think he added the body, yeah.
So he's
the
max
spout
body.
that comes right out of the fire.
Oh!
And a gout of fire whacks you.
Holy shit.
Whoa.
Magic.
From right out, like coals and fire and everything are just spraying out of the
fire. Magic.
Fireplace.
Fireplace.
That's
Fireplace.
That's cooking this giant pot, giant cauldron of stew. So you are now fatigued.
Oh, so he actually
Gout
took.
of fire and ashes.
Dude, he got a 9 and
Spraying
took damage.
Oh, man.
So they're up against something fairly powerful.
Yeah. And these other
Yeah,
fellows,
at least
pulling
10.
out daggers and so on.
Yeah. Wow. A face full of embers.
Man, Jose may drop this time.
Yeah.
Dark will go
This
ahead
is
and pulling out his axe.
Face full of embers.
So I'm attacking these guys.
In the meantime, Jules is screaming at Dunson, I told you not to start any trouble.
Okay. This time I'm adding my full bonus because I do have my sword in my hand, and that's an 11.
Nice.
Oh,
Draws that Viking sword.
Okay, so you definitely whack this fellow if you're trying to attack him.
Yeah, of course.
And there's gouts of flame, still coming up, trying to defend himself from your sword.
Wow. So he's using the fire as his. Damn.
He gets quite upset at that moment.
Excellent.
Damn.
I speak a few words.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I say,
Oh, man.
Trofeo, Rey del Bosque, Cobra Vida.
He's a big baddie. He's not just a minion.
Y atácalo. And I'm looking at the elk head, deer?
Yeah,
With
elk,
the huge horns.
Oh, nice.
Stuff head behind the wizard.
The Irish deer or whatever.
Trying to make it come to life and stab.
Oh,
nice. The wizard with
pulling
its
that off the wall, right?
With its antlers.
Nice.
So,
He's going to gore the man with an antler.
How difficult that's going to be, but that's my attempt.
Head. Nice.
8 plus 3 is 11.
Oh. And in fact, it does stab him with the antlers. And it's sacre bleu.
Oh shit! He's French.
Some gall, man.
He's definitely a bad guy if he's French. There's no love for the French, right?
Wilford at this point, these all fellows all have daggers out and are just, jumping on Wilford. So Wilford must defend. All
right. So obviously in this close quarters I have my shield, so I'm just fighting with my sword, parrying, sidestepping, and that is a 13 total.
Wow.
Holy Jesus. All right,
with that fat +5.
So how does one of them die?
Nice.
Yes.
Basically, as they all rush me with their daggers, I parry 2 of them and sidestep 1, and I just slash right into his brainstem with my sword as he runs by.
Think comic book panels, right? One panel of them rushing him. Next panel is seeing, the sword cutting, decapitating one. Right.
As he pitches forward, yeah.
Yep. As the antlers skewer the leader in a panel.
Yeah, I'm gonna go attack one of them.
In this game, you just gotta start shouting, man.
Yep.
Your initiative is when you say it is. So don't be polite, because you'll die.
At this point,
You'll die.
I'm running up on the quickest one to grab, or quickest one within range to swing my axe at.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Did he say he has an axe?
Oh, Father save me.
Wow. A priest with an axe. That's
8.
pretty sweet.
Did you see the last in the last game?
Yeah, he did.
Okay.
I forgot that. He did hit the guy with an axe,
in the back of the head?
Yeah, I'm okay with that.
Thunk.
At the same time, he's saying the guy's last prayer.
You take one down.
You know.
There's shouts in a language you don't understand as a few more of these fellows are running from upstairs.
Oh, so we got a mob. This is a mob. Which means
trying to get down, one of them does have a sword out, one has an axe.
Epic, and every hit can be a kill, right? Depending on the number.
Right, he's still not dead.
It's awesome. Mob combat.
All right, so I say, brasa y tizón.
Yeah, the wizards.
Traicionalo. And so I'm speaking to the flaming coals and the fire that he's wielding, and I'm asking it to betray the wizard and strike him and set him on fire.
Turning these flames upon him.
So sort of turn his own spell against him.
That's brilliant.
Officially, Jared's against this, but I'm all about it.
That's and what 12. 9.
All right. So the fire that he's trying to use to protect him is not like countering his. There's screams at this point.
They should waylay this entire
He's not
band.
dead, but he's certainly being
He's already
his own fire,
Yeah.
screaming at the top of his lungs.
I mean, they're pretty stout compared to this group
I'll
of.
quickly,
Right.
hearing the footsteps from upstairs, I will pull my axe out in a motion that is going to put my back to a wall, so I can watch them as I take another swing at one of the other henchmen.
Nice.
Right ahead.
And, another 8.
Uh-oh. That might be damage for Jarek.
And another one down.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
These other two fellows are already down at the bottom of the stairs.
So I have a feeling he's doing the leader as an entity and the pack as a separate entity. So he's got a mob and he's got the leader, I think. Right?
Wanting nothing to do with Brother Dunstan.
Right. No kidding.
I guess I have to roll a die, right?
You do have to roll a die.
Okay, that's a total of 11.
Yep.
Ouch.
So with his 4 body plus 1 sword,
another
5,
fellow goes down.
He's formidable, right?
Oh
yeah.
So yeah, it's because Wolfer is pretty well trained swordsman. So he's all about parrying and riposting. And what I want to do is I dodge one, kill another one, and then the one I dodge, I grab him by the scruff of the neck. I'm going to try to grab my scruff and throw him into the burning wizard.
Oh, nice.
Go ahead.
So that's the second roll, right? Because he can do that. Because if he fails, it hurts him.
12 on the die.
Nice. Oh, that's critical.
A 12 on the die, or just?
Yes, sir.
That's a crit. Nice. They have just waylaid this group of
Well, the other rolls haven't been that good. It's just that I have a +5.
That's right.
On the die.
4 body
so
plus
there's
1.
a critical success. So this
Yep.
this fellow is cascading into the burning wizard, continuing into the fire.
Yes.
Oh, nice.
Yes.
In the meantime, the wizard
There's
gets
no
like
back to the
whacked
fireplace.
against the fire a little bit.
And that's when I say, Arde fuego! Arde! And so I'm trying to stoke the fire
Boom.
with magic.
Blow it up.
And good thing this isn't my girlfriend.
Yeah, well, you win some, you lose some.
That's right.
It's okay. It's not a good roll.
Uh-oh.
So it's 8 total. No, 7 total. Sorry.
So that
Okay.
could be damage on
It's
Eloy.
not good. Yeah.
Okay, so let's see. Failure.
He turns it against me?
No, you stoke the fire. The only problem is he's like, like has some kind of wall up against him, and he's shouting out, something, and the fire does get stoked.
Lights the
only problem is
black
the only
leaf
person
in on
that's right
fire.
there is Wolford.
Oh, Wolford takes the damage.
Oh,
yeah,
no.
nice, because he's in the melee, right?
But
Jason told me like you could hurt somebody else instead when you're magic.
Yeah, that's right.
The person's most logically hurt.
Or he could have had the actual black leaf in
Blame
catch
Jason,
fire.
Jose. Yeah.
Right? I mean, all this fire going on, the black
He
leaf
said
in.
blame Jason. Jose.
Alrighty. Now this time, the guy
awesome.
is once again shouting.
But it makes sense. He's in the melee. He's right there with the guy.
Arcane language. Even so arcane, you don't quite recognize it. Something to say. So I need you to write le croissant. I need you to le poisson, la poisson. I need you to roll a luck roll rather than.
Ivan's been fortunate enough to play with.
That is a 12.
Oh, nice.
Damn, nice.
Oh, okay.
Lucky someone.
Ivan's been lucky enough to play with JD and same old G. He's learning all that French, man, playing with those
I'm not
guys.
sure what this fellow was trying to do. As he's trying to he's sort of bolting for the door, and you can see the door kind of for a moment it's it starts to turn black and swirl, and then freezes back up. It just becomes a regular wooden door again.
Ooh, nice.
But he's definitely trying to make his escape at this point.
Okay.
Well,
leaving his friends behind.
Jeez.
His friends, on the other hand, are a little bit ticked off at Sherrick at this point. So I think there's one fellow left. Is there one fellow left? I think there's one fellow left.
Is he really upset? Is he really mad?
No, he's upset. You killed a couple of his friends.
Is he mad enough to swing an axe at Jarek, for example?
Who am I to separate him from his friends? And I'll go ahead and swing my axe at him.
If anybody at home was keeping count, and perhaps all these fellows are dead, understand it's a mob. So there's
Yeah.
one more,
It's a mob. Yep. It's a mob. And
so I'm taking a swing at him.
might be a mob with a boss, or it might just be the whole thing is a mob. Right? That's awesome.
5.
And
5. Okay.
if Ivan feels
That is
before session that these guys are pretty powerful, he can tweak up the difficulty of that mob
no.
based on their abilities. Right?
You managed to pop him. You do not kill him.
There are rules in the book that allow him to make the mob better than they would normally be, depending on how strong these guys are.
Cause him a little pain.
If he wants to give him a little more challenge.
And I've had enough of this because I know that wizard's the one who burned me.
Yep.
It's one of those invisible enemy wizards.
It's like the invisible wizards of Mars.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I basically
In
said,
Mars, yeah. That's what I was thinking.
I'm not thinking at the moment. I'm angry, so I go by Wolves and Surtur. I've had enough of you, wizard, and I'm gonna try and smack the burning wizard.
Nice.
Okay. Go ahead.
Sometimes forgets themselves. All right, that's a 16.
Wow, that's nice.
Okay.
It's not a natural 12. It's just a 16.
How
rolled 11,
precisely
yeah.
does this bastard die?
His skull is split to the teeth.
Oh, nice.
Oof.
Crushed his head in with a blade.
This fellow falls on the ground, and the one fighting Jarek at this point drops his drops his blades. Ever merci.
Yeah, you want to do that with the priest, because the priest will probably listen. Yeah, the priest will probably listen to this.
Oh my god.
Has the fire died out, or is it still raging and threatening to burn the inn?
Give me a luck roll.
Oh, nice. That's great use of luck right there. Instead of declaring yes or no,
I got
luck
it.
check.
The fire itself is kind of coming back to normal. There's a few coals.
Perfect use of luck right there. Absolutely
but it looks
perfect.
as though the inn's going to survive.
Be naive. Don't know that the fire is contained.
There's some spots that are a bit singed.
Yeah.
There's the
It's intuitive, Ivan. It's just completely
Hellcat,
intuitive for Ivan.
which is now been singed and burned. One of the antlers is kind of bent up.
Some of the flooring burn, like that's called shoshugiman. That's a woodcraft thing. It'll be stylish.
Be fine. Yeah.
Yeah.
In about 1,700 years.
Yeah, it's gonna be a thing.
It'll be a thing. Yeah.
Is there any onlookers that kind of quick? Make a bucket line to put this fire out. By God, why are you standing around?
There you go.
Yeah, so it's really easy to get that back under control. There's really not so much of a fire, at this point. But yeah,
and we'll tie the survivor's hands behind its back so we can bring it to the sheriff.
Yep. There's a lot of questions for this survivor.
The poor scared fellow can only say "Abba mercy" and "Mort."
Oh, so now they know. Now they know Mort is hired them. All right.
It seems you might have solved the bandit problem.
Yeah, there you go. Nice.
In Dredgewater.
Nice.
Why are these bandits all the way from Gaul here?
No, not, but it seems that Mort has hired them to do his foul work.
Oh,
You get a little reach.
I thought he was saying that.
Me too. I was like, well, there's a very small chance that this means death in French, but I'm going to take it as a confession and a testimony.
Mm-hmm.
I think this fellow needs to speak with Lord Washburn.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was about to say haul him to.
You got to. You have to haul him in front of Lord Washburn.
I
That's
agree.
exactly right.
Confession of a different type.
Yep. Yeah.
He's looking at Jack. Hosti, chalice. Tabernacle.
Grab him by
Chalice,
the scruff.
Christ.
All right, so I think
Pouring it on.
this goes beyond Basel, right?
Yes.
I think that we
Yeah.
need to request an audience with Lord Washburn.
Sweet. Perfect, man.
Besides, Basel said that he was sure Lord Washburn would reward us, so I think we better go get our reward.
Well, and Jose, I mean, they're right on it, man. It's the Dark Ages, right? You're going to bring this.
Your memory is uncanny.
This man murdered some of Washburn's people.
For the good of
Right.
of all his flock, but I'm not that noble.
They are. They would definitely need to be in front of the Lord.
I try.
That's awesome. Haul
Don't
him
worry,
between.
Father. You'll get me into heaven, even if I have to sneak in.
Haul him before the Lord.
Yes.
Excellent. And perhaps we should end this with a luck roll in front of Lord Washburn as you bring this man there.
A luck roll.
What was that? Excuse me?
You want a luck roll.
Yeah, as you.
Not for me. You don't want it for me.
Let's see. I've rolled 2 11s in a row. So I smell like
What's
a
your-
2 or a
roll
3.
a 1.
Come on, here we go. 7 plus 1 is 8. It's not too bad.
Hey.
Okay. All right. Yeah. So Washburn gives you an audience. Very glad to see the man being captured. Nobody there speaks this Gaelic language, whoever this foul man is, but he says, I'm sure it was Woodamont Mort. Put them up to us. Trying to starve us out. Suppose you'll be wanting a reward now. Loyal subjects.
Of course, but we wanted you to hear it from his own lips. We didn't want it to be humor.
Or some
rumor.
mouth.
It's humor, anyway, but we don't want it to be rumor. My lord.
So he appears grateful. It appears like you may have gotten into his good graces.
Ooh.
As well as your magnanimous reward. You sure this is all of them?
Right. Where are the others?
Well,
This one man did everything.
The tracks I saw were about a half a dozen, and we how many we take down? Did we take down 7?
7.
Yeah, 7 or 8.
I believe.
There was a mob.
I saw about half a dozen men's tracks where the fishermen were attacked, and we slew 7 or 8 at the tavern. So it may be all of them,
or at least most of them.
or at least most of them.
I bet you can
If-
get the
if
info
we
out
can
of the one
find,
that's left.
Someone who speaks this language, maybe he can tell us where they were hiding. But it seems like it was. Well, actually, no. They were in the rooms. We have to check the rooms.
Right.
We haven't checked the rooms at the inn.
There might be documents or something.
Right.
Maybe there are written orders. Or...
Yep.
I lean to Brother Dawson's gold and coins.
I'll go try and see what was left behind, if there's anything of
So what
interest.
can be seen.
Right. Yeah,
Yeah.
we of course we looted them, right?
Of course you did.
Of course.
Of course you did. These fellows actually had plenty of loot on them.
Well, actually, with my equipment list, if I can just get like a regular dagger.
He's got to have a dagger to throw.
But there was, going back in the rooms, you're able to find a document with a seal of Woodamad Mortop on it.
There you go.
Oh, so we have evidence.
His contract. Evidence
Written to
of,
one
that he commissioned them to do the work.
And he was. There was it instructions for brigandry and.
It looks to be that.
Nice.
To disrupt all trade going into the Redgewater.
Nice.
See, and now they could call the Witten.
Also to Lord Washburn.
They could ask for the Witten.
Yeah.
And then get a vote from
that.
all the other aldermen to actually
Somebody
bring
needs to
Mort
strike this Mort where he
to
lives.
justice. Bring him before the court.
It has a
The
silver.
alderman.
They could take this
The alderman.
simple thing into a major
The alderman.
political
He's gonna mess with us.
courtroom
We have to mess with
trial
him.
of Mort. Right?
Yeah.
We need somebody brave, confident.
Anyway, friends, what would you want us to do, Lord Washburn?
I want you to kill him.
Send Ivan, because he
Plague us
did
any
it.
longer.
So Ivan and Dell did kill him.
Somebody sent to kill him.
Cut his damn head off.
I didn't say that. Let's just say he's as slippery as an eel.
Bring him to justice.
he's a snake.
Raise the fjord.
Let us
Bring
try,
Mort's head to
if
me.
it's right, let us see. They say he has a mercenary army. Right? We have to see what his stronghold is like and what we'll be facing, and then see if perhaps we can sneak in.
Or buy those mercenaries off
Maybe you should take
with coin.
You should do some reconnaissance first. He's got quite a few men there.
That's the way to start.
Jeez, he's sending them into
I
the.
don't suppose you have 40 friends to
Into
take with
the
you.
belly of the beast.
40 friends.
He said, I suppose you have 40 friends to take with you.
And it can't be traced back to me. That would be an open declaration of hostilities.
Yeah. There
I
we go.
understand. Well, we can start by seeing what the challenge is. Maybe there will be opportunities that do not involve besieging a manor with just 3 men.
Right.
Oh.
They could do
more,
they could do
Stevens!
what Scipio did
Give
to
this man
Hannibal
some goats.
and just buy his men away from him since they're
Nice.
mercenaries.
Hey,
And
it's
we'll end the session there.
Nice.
it's food and money, right? So you know
Yeah.
that counts. Nice,
And trade them for some cool stuff. Excellent.
excellent.
Yes. Yeah, those guys weren't particularly tough as bandits. You know,
Nope.
I mean, like, because I wasn't sure how tough the sorcerer was going to be.
Right. Right.
Well, I got down to battered.
Yeah.
Yeah. A normal mob of
specifically
bandits,
because,
a
you know,
Wolfred
there's,
should almost be able to
because there's
defeat
not-
by himself
The
with
rules are
a
about
4 body and a
kind
plus
of
1
silence
sword.
on playing something like that. Something
Yeah.
was all your rolls.
Right. But
And-
again, Eloy's role to burn the guy that burned me was against the wizard's magic, right?
Yeah.
Correct.
Correct.
Right.
It has to
So
do with his toughness. So yeah, this all worked as intended.
Yeah. It's awesome.
so he's got
Yeah.
a difficulty, and like depending on what, if he tried to do something, the way I figured it was like if he tries to do something really over the top, then his difficulty is going to go down.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, and it's all
exactly
narrative, right? So if I try to hit him with a spell, and I don't hit, right? If it were combat, I would narrate a sword stroke that goes wide, and he strikes me.
Yes.
Right.
That's
So
right.
he does the same, right?
Yeah.
If I fail my attack against him, then he gets to cast the spell on me,
Right.
right, and injures me in some fashion.
Yep.
Which in this case turned out to be Jose, but
Yep.
he could have hit me.
It's exactly right. I mean, it can be narrative.
It's just that the failure condition, instead of being the enemy fighting with a sword, he's fighting with magic.
Right.
So it's just an attack spell. That
Or
off,
Ivan,
right?
or Ivan, if you fill that role, Ivan can narrate one of his henchmen step in and wound Eloy. Right.
Hitting him was awesome.
Oh yeah,
but I mean, that could have gone horribly, horribly wrong.
Yes.
The great thing about a mob is he
might
can narrate the
attack
mob
everybody,
doing damage to all the
or the
characters
whole
if they
elk
fail
comes
wrong.
to life
Extension
or
of
something.
the-
I don't know.
yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
A lot of stuff could have happened there.
I
Just
mean,
the whole
you
elk-
could narrate
the whole
two
elk
men
could have
pull
not gonna
bounded
spoil
off
Wilfred to the ground, right, if they're
mounting,
losing
even though it's
rolls.
just the head, a whole elk could have appeared, right, and just
Right.
ran rampant through the inn.
That would have been.
Yeah, that would have been fun.
That was fairly simple. So like I just figured, well, let me just use his regular old difficulty. Had you narrated something really over the top, I probably would have made his difficulty higher.
Right.
But that's true. That's kind of the beauty of the thing, right? It's all an attack roll. All I'm doing is trying to hurt him, right?
Yeah.
So
Or cause an effect or a situational change.
that is
I want to
that is
knock
an interesting
him.
point, right?
I want to knock
if I
him out of the
narrate
inn so he
something
can't set
very
the inn
over
on
the
fire. Let's
top,
get him outside. So I blow him out so he
if
falls
you
outside.
add difficulty to what I'm doing, but
Yeah.
what I'm doing is you got to be careful, because if you add difficulty on top of the defense value,
Right.
you're imposing a penalty on me just for my narration,
Correct.
which
I don't
seems against the spirit of the rules.
It depends on the effect more than I think on the narration, right? If you-
Correct.
for the
Correct.
top
If
effect,
if
That's
he
it.
imposes a penalty on my spell that I'm casting against him,
Right.
then it should come with a commensurate, instead
Right.
of one wound, it does two
Right.
wounds,
Right.
right? Because you're
Right,
doing
right,
something over the
Correct.
top.
Correct.
right? I think it has. I think
Right.
intent is.
Yeah, it depends. I'm like, that was one of those things I had to figure out, because his difficulty is 11.
Yeah.
So
That's awesome.
normally, if you said I'm going to make this deer head, fall on this bandit, I probably would have said, okay, well, it's not that hard. I mean, you're making it fall off the wall.
Right.
Here, I've got this guy whose difficulty is 11, so it's harder
Well,
to make that happen.
so if they're a
So
mob,
it's something,
Sure,
you
but
can
that,
not only kill
but it
off their
doesn't
henchmen,
really
but
matter what
lower
I
his
narrate,
difficulty as the
because I'm
mob
trying
gets
to
smaller.
hurt him, right? So the narration of the elk is color, right?
Yeah.
I could have said something like, I summon a demon and the demon strikes him, right? Or the lightning falls down from
Yep.
heaven, goes through the roof,
Yep.
and hits the guy. It doesn't really matter, right?
Right.
It's the
Right.
effect.
Right.
I think it was if I was thinking more like in terms of like things that weren't like straight up combat, like I opened like a chasm beneath him and he falls. Then I'm thinking, okay, well that might be a 13.
Yeah, that would
that might be
definitely.
a
Yeah,
little more
because then
difficult,
you're
because,
changing. You're actually changing the
But
word.
then it also should come with a measured effect, right?
Yeah.
So because
Right.
it's a chasm, instead of taking one wound, he's going to take two.
Right.
Yeah,
Well-
or you might. I mean, like
might do
my
that.
point being like I want him to fall like a mile down into a chasm.
Yeah, but the failure
remove
means
him-
everybody
remove him
falls
from the
a mile
area.
down. Right.
But that's kind of like when. See, removing him
there-
from the area is where the rubber meets the road, right? I would
He
argue.
attempted something difficult, which I had you roll by luck.
Right.
He was just trying to make a portal like in the door. It was going
Correct.
to be very hard for him, so it was an easier luck roll for you.
Right.
That makes sense.
Because
Yeah.
because I don't have anything to roll, so I'm
Right.
like, okay, what am I going to do here? It's not a combat thing. He's not trying to attack him.
Correct.
It's like I'm like, okay, well, I guess it's luck at this point.
Right.
It's still hard for him. So unless you really botch your luck roll, he's not getting through that portal.
Right. Or
And that now that you look at it that way, it makes sense, right? If you're trying to directly inflict damage
Right.
by whatever means, the narration is meaningless, right? All that matters is the roll and the normal rules. But at the moment that you start trying to do effects instead of damage,
right.
that's when difficulty comes in.
Right.
And you could probably use the baseline,
or if
DV,
Ivan,
right, and modify that.
Right.
Well, that was something like I was going to ask Jason, what would you do? I'm like, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to read the rules and interpret them, and then he'll probably comment on it and say, well, I would have done it this way, which is fine. But it's the idea,
but in a combat check,
to me, it's
let's say,
let's really play the game. The game should stand on its own, even if you couldn't reach Jason.
Correct.
So
exactly.
So if I wanted to teleport the guy away and effectively take him out of combat. Then, of course, it's the DV is 11. I would have added, a bunch of 16 or something.
Yeah, but exactly. That would have.
But even if I roll it,
that's it.
If I roll it, the guy just goes away. It doesn't mean he's dead.
Right.
So he could theoretically come back or something.
Yeah.
But you need to pay a price for that.
Yeah.
Maybe you can't.
And
maybe you teleport him.
So let's say Ivan wants to create a portal for him to escape.
Okay, if he wants to teleport back, what's that going to be? It's
his
going to be your luck
failed combat roll. Ivan don't have to make a damage against anybody. He can make the portal appear as the effect of a failed combat roll.
A good success, right? So particularly against a DV that high. Right. So I think that's the correct instinct.
Yeah.
If my narration of the elk was meant to hurt him physically, so I think at that point you don't mess with the system. It's the effects where it goes weird.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. Because there were moments I think, as I was thinking of what might happen, all kinds of things he could have done. It just well, here's what happened. I was naive, Jason. I've got this.
Naive.
I got this.
That's it, man.
I rolled actually right in the center of the table the whole night. I had I had the initial thing that was happening, which was bandits, right? So I roll 11, which is traitors' bodies hung. Nice. So there's you already heard, so I figured, okay, you guys know there's bandits. People are like, well, what the hell, something's going on. Now traitors' bodies are hung. And of course, Will Stevens, of course he finds them, because who else would? The next thing I roll then is 12, fishermen attacked.
Oh, nice.
So I'm thinking, okay, well, how do I get you guys to cross that? Okay, well, you on your way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You're already walking. So okay, so you come across that, and then what was next was 8 was fugitives from Dredgewater Downs. I'm like, nothing I can do with them right now because you're going the opposite direction.
Right.
So you finally met them as they were walking in the inn.
Those are the guys.
That's the guy. So then I'm thinking, okay, well, I can't use that right now, but I'm going to keep that there. I'm going to keep that for. I'm sorry, I didn't. What I rolled before that, while you guys were out in the woods, so you're at the tree, talking to the dead guy, and what I rolled is strangers in Blackleaf.
Nice.
Which I stole from one of the tables. So there's strangers in Blackleaf.
Right.
Well, strangers are going to be these guys.
Correct.
And then
that's exactly right.
So you're out there.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking, okay, well these bandits are in town now. That's where they ended up.
Circled around and they went back.
And that's
because I did.
Why are you naive? Because you can make sense of.
I was like, okay.
You can make sense of whatever you roll. Right.
I'm thinking maybe I'll roll something horrible on this table, like giant spider was on the table. I don't. I rolled fugitives from Dredgewater Downs, which there's no way they're going to pass you. Because you're going into Dredgewater, and they're coming from the other direction, and you're in the wrong spot. So I didn't know if you guys were going to go. You guys ended up going back to town because you summoned the wolf. Where are these guys?
Perfect.
And I'm thinking, okay, well, I can use them to walk in.
Yep.
And say, oh my God, that's the guy that burned.
And that's why it works. That's why the narrative. That's why the narrative context of the world
it triggered the final confrontation.
Yeah. I love the wolf.
Great.
I love the
using
the
I knew what was going on, but I had no
direct
situation.
effect
I had no clue how the situation was going to manifest itself. I mean, the things at the end. The things at the end of the table were just awful, like the dead rise. Which, my God, had I rolled that was a 3.
Yeah.
I would have had the guys you put
in the graves just wake up and out. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's a world-changing event, right? That means the dead are rising all over the world, right?
Things and,
everywhere you go, the dead are wandering the earth.
Another one.
Yeah, that speak with dead could have gone very wrong.
Yeah.
Right? That could have been a zombie attacking me right there.
If you could, hell yeah, I would have been.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I could think, well, this guy doesn't know the guy's name. All he can tell you is,
Yeah.
Right. I was hoping for
Right. But if he
soldiers killed me, and then maybe say get to the livery of the livery of Lord Mort or something.
Yeah,
that was my hope. It's like even if it doesn't know the name, at least he's going to tell me. Danes killed me or whatever.
Right. That's exactly right.
And again, it's the boundaries, right? I'm trying not to, well, what could reasonably this guy say? What I say is that name your killer, right? I'm not necessarily asking for the specific name, but at least a description, right?
Yeah.
And again, I didn't want to press.
Even if you just said what happened to you.
I asked like 2 questions, who and why.
Yeah.
Right.
And again, it was like, if he knows, it's like, I do not know why, or, they stole our trade or something. And that's pretty much what I wanted. It's like, it feels like that's plenty of information for one role.
Yeah.
Right. So
that's exactly right.
It is interesting though, like how, again, now your main use for magic is like divination all the time. Where do we go now? Like, where does these,
Yeah.
Where does this guy? Which is interesting. That I'm not sure if that happens in this game a lot with people.
Right.
If a lot of people think to do that, or whether it's
Yeah. Most people do. They treat magic pretty much.
Right.
Yeah.
He makes appropriate use of the magic.
Yep.
Right. Oh no, it's cool.
It's perfect.
And again, it has to feel like doable, right? How do I track these guys? Well, it needs an animal. Well, maybe I can be the animal. It's like, maybe that's a little bit too much. That would
have been very hard. And I would not have been very nice if you critically failed that.
I know. That's why I said
that's right.
Summon a wolf.
Yeah.
So I'm like,
that's right.
That'd be neat.
And that's part of the interpretation, right?
You turn into a dog. Yeah, you turn.
If they want to turn themselves into a wolf, you make it hard. If he fells it, right? If he critically fells it, now what, right?
Another minute.
What was the most fun for me was like Wolf heard bragging about how great a hunter he was and taking credit for tracking the guys down.
Yeah, I love it.
Oh, yeah,
I love
that's
it.
Hilarious.
I love it.
Funny.
No, but that was a great moment when he said, "You guys aren't great woodsmen, are you?" Because you allowed me to track your ass back here to this inn, right? It's
but you
so
were
good.
on the roll, so it's like, no, I'm not interrupting, right? But at one point where they're like, oh, what are you talking about? I was going to ask him, you just got here. How did you like the fish? Or something. Rattle them, right? But
yeah. What did you do with the fish?
Very diplomatic, and
Yeah, direct.
All right, guys.
More affable than the guys I usually play, but
that's awesome.
Yeah, it was interesting in this one because it really pushed you, right? I mean, like, it was. If I got some of these other roles, it would have been a lot weirder.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Or you would have had to really go find these guys.
Right.
And you could have. I mean, there were ways you could have found them.
Yeah.
One way or the other, but it was interesting. You ended up fighting them in the middle of the black.
So the only thing they really haven't,
and I put that down. I mean, I think I put Strangers in Blackgate. That was a 9, so that's like maybe 10% chance of happening.
Right.
Somewhat likely, but not for sure.
Right.
And I figured, well, if that happens, it's going to be some of them. But it turned out to be all of them.
Right. That's awesome, though. And again, can happen because you have to make sense.
It's kind of cool how you're not quite sure what's going to happen.
Yeah. So the only thing they haven't really explored in our game is complete player agency, right?
Aspect of the GM emulators, which helps a lot to keep it, unpredictable for everybody. Of course, it needs you to improvise some stuff on the spot. If you're good at that.
Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a matter of how do I use
I'm
this?
sorry, I got to run. I'm hearing some funny noises in the house. So.
Uh-oh.
All right.
Take care, Jim.
Y'all take care. Thank you.
See you, Jim. Great sessions.
Yeah, it's fine. And we've been playing together for a while, so it's like, you need a couple of minutes to figure something out. We're like, it's fine. There's no hurry.
Yeah.
Don't worry, people. Jim has kids.
That's
the weird noises.
Yeah, those weird noises are the kids up, and they shouldn't be. They're making French toast in the kitchen.
Pancakes.
They're making pancakes
because I want it to be nightfall.
And the Renaissance.
I want to do the summon. It's like speak with the day is lame. It's got to be nighttime.
Yeah,
that's pretty eerie.
It's awesome. Yeah, the only thing they probably have yet to really explore is them driving more of the session and Ivan being less
the wizard
driver.
and the priest kind of don't mix in this world. So it's,
that would be the next phase of their experience in Dark Age of Man, where they're really a little more in charge.
It's like the priest in Vikings, the bishop in Vikings.
Yeah.
And then Ivan's doing more kind of
I'm gonna
presenting, reacting.
Excellent.
And that's don't go anywhere. We'll chat a minute. I think they're done, right?
Yeah, they just ended.
Okay, so let me blow us up.
Boom.
Boom. There we are. We'll chat a little while. If you have time, if you're okay with that.
Yeah.
Okay. So that would be the next phase of their the final real phase of their enjoyment of Dark Age of Man is the players taking a little more, right? So when Jose, at the beginning, for instance, when Jim says he's gonna pray, right? Go ahead and pray. Make that and say what you're trying to effectively do. Ivan would know, okay, he's attempting to effect change upon the world. I'm going to set a DV based on what he says he's doing. I'm going to pray for the people of Dredgewater to be safe while we are gone. And Ivan can take that as, okay, any RSC that I might roll on the chart won't necessarily affect Dredgewater. And he makes the roll, sets the DV at, say, 5, makes it really easy. He says his prayer. He doesn't have to know if he's successful, but Ivan makes a note that any of these things that occur on the chart won't affect Dredgewater, because he's cast a successful spell to protect Dredgewater while he's gone, right? Let's say that Jim takes, instead of saying I just want to pray and then waiting to hear if I should pray, should I roll, you say what you're trying to achieve. Ivan should be like, oh shit, he wants to achieve something. What's he doing? Okay, I'll set the DV for him, right? It depends, but so that's the only other piece is, and that's the hardest part. Let's not kid ourselves. When you want to be, as a player, also experiencing the world naively, it's sometimes difficult to want to lead the dance, right, to some degree. And then Ivan does more of a reactionary gaming versus just introducing RSC, right?
Yeah, there's a subtle shift in balance of power that isn't in typically in games.
Correct.
I thought that they really play well in general. They play their characters' motivations.
Yep.
So I mean, as far as being immersed in the character, I think it's a little bit more. It's exhibiting a little deeper immersion to me, at least.
Yeah. When
you get to express on a little deeper level the character, like he's literally accountable. Tending Jim is since last session. No, we know this, but we don't need to drag this back into town.
Correct.
We dragged the wolves. We found the wolves, and it also, like you said, correlated with the fact that everybody believes that the wolves, and that was what was found, and he's still appropriately protecting the population. Like you said, he could have prayed, like even taken a step to go that way, but then again, that was just. That's something you may have conceptualized.
So I mean, no, I'm not saying he has to. I was giving an example. If he wanted to take control and do a thing, I'm not suggesting he has to. Just an example. Just an example.
I know. I just meant like that. That's like that's a step further, but they're showing
right.
Jose's character Wolford, being a sellsword and more concerned about the coin and being mindful of that, like you said, like the purse check. Yeah, when you're haggling or bargaining or whatever, how effective are you at this to get that in? So that could have been utilized. So I love the fact that it seems to be that they're having more opportunity, I think, and more of a focus on expressing their character and their character's interest and their character's position within the party.
Right.
And that dynamic with each other, I think is more fully realized, at least for me while playing, and it seems to be in their case also.
Oh, yeah.
But in the way Eloy, like you said, even in the last thing, whenever he throws out the parameters of the spell he's doing, he does it across the board. Like I said, it's that interplay between everybody at the table, not only the people that you're with, but you're throwing the information out so it can be shared, but you do it in a rational, reasonable sense. Because like he could, like you said, there's always the caveat, if you try to fly, then it goes say roll 16.
Right.
You know what I mean? So they're mindful of it.
Yeah.
Of the fact that whatever they're stating, there's going to be an adjustment of DV. Now that one guy, he could say like he's got a static DV of 11.
Yeah.
But according to what you're going to, if you're going to strike him or turn 3 cartwheels before you strike him, it's going to, you're weaving in your 3 cartwheels to increase the difficulty of affecting him.
Yeah.
So there's some flexibility to that.
Oh,
like he was talking about situational dynamics, whether you're trying to say something to have a direct effect or you're having to be more, it's a more subtle difference in like, where you have to use like the presenter to, or even the players in some circumstances when you're describing situational effects that happen.
Sure.
Even though it's a non-direct effect to somebody.
Yeah, I mean, like he didn't have to situational when Eloy had attempted to affect the fire again and failed that, and he wounded Jose. He literally could have turned that into the inn is now on fire. The inn has caught fire. Right, so now we've got a new circumstance. Not only are we having a fight with a mob and with a sorcerer, but now the damn inn's on fire, right? And they're going to have to deal with that as they could suffer. I mean, that place is going to burn down. That could affect the village. So now we've got a whole other thing to worry about. We're not only in a fight here, but the inn is on fire, right? So you're free to adjudicate, whatever makes, I think, interesting, circumstantial, or difficult. A failure... And I've said this before, I'm not certain in the book I really made clear. I think in my examples I do, when I talk about part of the ebb and flow of the difficulty is if this fight's too easy for them and they have a failure like that, I'm going to make the fight harder by having the inn catch fire. So I'm not just making the DV of the sorcerer harder, the whole situation is now harder because the inn has caught fire. Because Eloy failed that spell burst. Right, so Jose doesn't get hurt, but I turn so now the DV, because they were winning this easily, and I knew they would because they're pretty good. So now I'm turning up a notch, not by adding more warriors that come out of, I'm not going to add more to the mob, but now the inn's on fire, making it harder for them to continue to conduct a fight. I could describe smoke and flames, and it's just everything's harder for them, right? So I increase that DV to a 12 now, right? So, or I could reduce that DV as the mob's killed. So as they waylay all the henchmen, I can reduce that sorcerer's DV because
the counterbalance.
It reflects.
It's the same difficulty.
It doesn't have to just be a hit point bubble, right? It ain't like, okay, he's got 9 henchmen, so he's got 9 hit points, right? His DV's 11, he's got 9 health because it's a big mob. Let's say it's a sorcerer with as a mob, sorcerer with a mob, but he had 2. I think he had a sorcerer and a mob separate, which is fine. But you could literally. Again, abstractly combine those. He's an 11. Situation can change DV, but as they kill the henchmen away, his DV gets easier because now he's down to 2 henchmen. He's not going to be an 11 forever, right? So all of those things work because I talked about that closed loop math that we use, right?
Yeah.
And the reality is, like I say in the book, not only can you add to make the mobs harder, if it's not an adequate challenge for them, if they're regardless of the repute score, if it's not an adequate challenge, you can always tweak up the potential challenges to keep the game sufficiently challenging for the players, right? So they don't just feel like they're writing their own story, right? We don't want people to feel like, hey, I'm just narrating how I killed all these guys. That is not the goal. There is a game here to some degree, right? And I'm. The other thing, too, there were a couple of opportunities where when they made orders, they ordered... so one of the opportunities, when Jose says, hey, there must be some coin in this, that for me, that would have been either a purse check. And the purse doesn't have to equal them going to get something for it. But it would have signaled whether the sheriff would have made them an obligation that would have been beneficial for them, not just coins, but, right? So that was an opportunity. It doesn't really matter, but it becomes a conversation that just ends versus actually being a risk reward, right? So when that comes up, that's to me is risk reward. So he's asking them, hey, go do this for me. and Jose's saying, yeah, but there's got to be something in it for us, I have to hold Jose's feet to the flame now, because Jose, the guy's told you what he wants, and Jose's saying, yeah, but for what? That's technically the conversation. That is the communication occurring, and I have got to then say there's a risk reward here for that. Give me a purse check on this. He may not be asking for particular funds, but it's going to then change the. All right, okay, you guys won't do this for me. So you're gonna. So here's the deal. This is what we're going to do for you if you guys do this for me, right? Now I think ultimately they came to that agreement when he said, I think there'll be a reward in it for you if you do this, right? Which is fine. You don't have to have a purse check to have Basil naturally negotiate that.
No, we get the competence level of each player. Like, you have to take that concession. Like when he told basically the peasants or the fishers to run and get whatever. Now, if he's got
those were missed opportunities. For me, that's a missed opportunity. Not telling them to run away, but when he gives them an order, go get me a thing. Go. I want you to go get a healer from the village. I don't think they even addressed that. It's like he said it, but we never heard about there was no resolution as to whether the healer left to actually go attempt to do that. Not the healer, the fisherman. That should have been a prestige check to give an order. If he fails that, well, the guy gets waylaid on the road or doesn't do it. He runs off scared and doesn't do what he's told. If he succeeds, then a healer would show up at some point, right?
Yeah, I may interpret that like, if you got sufficient, like, according to character, Wolford had said that, I'm looking at more of an intimidating individual, and I'm going to use his competency level of his 3.
Oh, his body, sure. I don't care. Yeah, right. So when Wolford, right. You don't have to use prestige when it's like Wolford telling them, you fools.
But you may use luck to say, hey, is he even going to make it back? Or you don't even know that. Just roll.
Right.
And then we'll find out if, if he gets waylaid or if he actually finds anybody to do this. You know what I mean? If he's laughed away. So, because he's drunk in town. Yeah,
and for us, we've been doing this for 4 years. And so when I give somebody an order in the game, I'm actually affecting game. I'm actually saying this is something I expect to be a variable.
Exactly.
That it's not just vain role playing for effect. I'm actually saying I want you to go do this because I expect there to be an effect on the game. So
everything you roll, like, that's a perfect example, because it's like the only time a lot of people notice maybe to factor in negative fail results.
Right.
It's like some of these rolls is like, are you lucky enough to get it? And then they don't factor in the fact. Now, I'm not saying about this game.
No, right. But just in general.
People just to say like, well, if you fill it, what happens? Well, I just didn't get it. Well, actually, there's some negative connotation that happens to that. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? To where it plays into what happened. Like when I ran out and looked for the horse and I rolled.
Yeah. Well, actually, you didn't. I said, well, that makes sense. There's a horse here.
It was associative roll. Yeah.
But when Sam said, well, is there a horse there for me too? I said, now we got to look to see if there's more than one horse. And he had a critical failure, which basically meant that you even misinterpreted.
A broke down nag, donkey or whatever it was.
Correct.
You know what I mean?
Right.
It's not going to be fit to catch up with what I was.
But it wasn't unreasonable for you to say, "Is there a horse around here?" Yeah, sure, not unreasonable at all. But when Sam said, "Well, what about me?" Right. Now we got to check. Right.
Yeah.
Because I don't know how many horses would there be available. Right.
Circumstance. If the town, if it's in a low season or everybody left or all the nothing but workhorses out there in the fields, you're going to say, roll. I don't know. Circumstances dictate that you need to roll. Let's see if there's roll your luck. But if it's a time where there's plentiful amounts and a lot of thoroughfare going on, no, you don't roll. So that's where you have to know, and you will know why everybody keeps focused and on the same page of what's happening to make sense of it. And it's an affirmative around the table logical deduction that there's a horse here, or whatever the situation is. Because whenever you do roll, there's still that aspect of fail creating some kind of twist.
Well, the fail, for instance, I told my wife, I was giving her that example that you could have grabbed the horse, but there could have been a fallout that horse belonged to somebody, and they're not going to be happy that you just absconded with their horse.
Exactly.
So I don't have to have you roll. Yeah, you got your horse, and you kick it in the rear, and you take off. Well, some dude sees you ride off on his horse, and he starts screaming behind. More chaos. That man just stole my horse. So now we got soldiers going, there's a kidnapping, there's a guy on a horse that stole the horse. there's more chaos and there's no roll there, right?
Yeah.
Right.
But
however, if I had, I could have had Sam's failed roll mean that the guy that owned the horse is not happy with you taking his horse, right?
Yeah.
I could have dictated that anyway. And this is the other thing. So this, because our game is, again, we want to have naive narrator. We want the players to take a little more agency. And it's a little more narrative in focus, right? That does not obscure, that does not, none of that happens in lieu of actual game. We still use the dice liberally, right? So there's going to be a lot of rolls. Prestige check for that. Luck check for that. There's going to be, and so it's this conversation, it's narrative, but I use the dice a lot more, I think, than maybe most people will.
Well, like Jose said, all dice are narrative. I mean,
no, I don't mean that dice are narrative. I mean use the dice. We're talking about using them. Use the fucking dice.
Oh no!
You can narrate all you want, but we're going to use the dice. It's a game. It's still a game. So yes, the dice are going to be the thing that directs a lot of my naivete. So I'm going to call up dice rolls.
Essentially, that all dice, it prompts narrative, either to the negative or the whatever.
And it's going to give me information I don't have because I'm a naive narrator. So I need you to make a luck check for me because I don't know.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, that's what
I don't know if
I look at it as
I don't know if the fisherman is going to go run and get a healer. So let's go ahead and make a luck check here to see if this fisherman can succeed at that, or let's see, or if the fisherman just runs off and hides because he didn't want to be a part of this anymore, right?
Yeah,
that kind of thing.
Yeah, you don't make assumptions as a presenter if you can
correct
stay away from it. That's still that thing that we do. Like even Todd doesn't know this. You roll to find out what happened.
Yeah.
You still do that here because you really don't know what happened, and you're just connecting dots as you go.
And that's why we can say to the players, take more agency, because the dice are going to be the thing that's arbitrating this thing, not me. So go ahead and take more agency. Hey, you could describe how you're tracking these guys. You lean down and you put your hands in the mud. And you begin to, investigate the outlines of the boots, and you're starting to separate which boots, are appear to be a man size. He could get really deep into how he is.
You can lead
He can literally dictate how he is finding the tracks he needs to track. And the better he does that, the lower my DV is going to be when I say, all right, let's make a luck check to see if you're on the right tracks. Not whether you can track. But he's following. He's told me I'm following these tracks. I'm looking for these tracks, and I say, well, it looks like they're headed west, and he's going. And then I say, okay, DV check. Let's check to see if you indeed did follow the right tracks, right? But I give him a really low DV because he describes how well he differentiates good tracks from bad tracks. I want the players deriving some of that narrative, and then I can use the dice with a higher or lower DV to determine whether they followed the right tracks or not.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
As opposed to just saying you can't find the tracks. Make a mind check to find the tracks. You failed? No, you didn't find the tracks. Right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, well, that's I didn't mean to reference the old school as far as that's the
methodology. Oh, no. I'm just talking about our game. It's old school is completely different.
The way we do it is you can it's a shared narrative space. Yeah. Like I said, as long as you know your boundaries that you don't need to cross.
Yeah.
But you can certainly
my only rule is don't
jumping into space.
Right. My only rule is don't make a conclusion that you automatically track them down.
Yeah.
But you can describe how you are picking the track. And this is the tracks, and I'm explaining how I believe these are the right tracks. We're going to follow these, and I say, okay, they're headed west. Now, you travel for 6 hours. Let's make a mind check here to see, and I modify that down because he did such a great job defining the tracks. So we use his narrative flavor as the writer, as this imaginative person, or even somebody who understands how to track animals, for instance. If we're playing with a guy who hunts, and he knows how to track animals, and he gives this great description of how he identifies the scat, he identifies the lay of the land, and I'm saying, okay, I'm going to lower his DV, and we're going to make a mind check, but I tell him that looks like that's headed east, he's going to follow east, that's narrative. We're going to roll, though, at the end of that, to see if it indeed leads him to the bear's lair, or indeed leads him to the cave, right?
Yeah, but there's a little bit. You don't want to be an avatar so much, But whenever you play in your character, if he is, in other words, anytime anybody's playing the character, like you see Jim, he falls into that mindset of being protective over his flock and over the town and making sure that they're secure,
perfect.
And that they're this and that. So he will fall into step with doing that.
Yeah.
Jose's character is a sellsword. He's interested in money. He's interested in truth, and his approach as a character, as a personality, and the way he interacts with others.
Right.
He's going to follow that.
That's right.
That step and methodology of interacting with the world and with others in it. In the same way, Eloy is interacting with the world in his own way. So you stay within the bounds of your character's personality and your character's abilities and what's plausible that your character would do, and then you lead that dance though. If at all point, when you get there, like you said, when you get familiar and you can, you just lead it, and then the presenter just naturally represents the world and is pushed back to what you're trying to do into it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, imagine.
So it's not necessarily.
Yeah, I mean, imagine that while. I mean, it's exactly right. You want them to take the lead, but don't make conclusions, right? I do find the tracks, they're going east. Describe how you are differentiating the tracks, and then hopefully the GM will say, the way you've described it, those tracks, they're headed east. Okay, we're gonna, and then give them then they can go, okay, I trust that. I'm gonna follow that, and then at some point I say, give me that mind check, DV5. And we'll find out if you are a luck check, depending on how good they are at tracking. I mean, or if he describes it sloppily. Well, I'm looking for the most obvious tracks. And I go, okay, well, that's a luck check. And we'll see what direction that might be, right? Right? So it's how we interpret when a player says something. When a player says something, how am I responding and reacting and interpreting what they're attempting to get from that statement? When in D&D, players only ask questions, right? They literally ask questions, or they declare direct action. That's what happens in D&D. That's all you do in D&D. I don't care what you think you're doing, right? I'm going to tell everybody watching now, when you play old school D&D, all you do as a player is ask questions or give a direct action. That's all you do. I don't care what you think you're doing, but that's all you're doing.
Yeah, you just
is the door big? Is the door locked? Is the door tall? Is the door okay? I want to try to push the door open. Right? Those are the only things you can do is ask questions and then say what you want to go ahead and do. Right?
You do have a little monologue in different scenes, as far as with maybe your other characters if you want to embellish. But you're right. Mechanically, what you're describing is the game.
Right.
You know what I mean?
No, I mean, that's all you can do. That is it. You cannot do anything else. You can't say, I'm going to go ahead and turn left here and head toward town, right? Because the DM has to has to first of all allow you to know that the town is west from here or is left from here, right? You're not going to just
describe I want to search, bro, and tell me if I find anything.
So in our game, again, you're going to use the data you get from the GM, and you're going to use the data you know from the book and what you've agreed upon and what's shared narrative. But at the same time, you're also going to be able to take a lead. Don't make conclusions, but take the lead in what that looks like. And in how you describe that actually will give me a lower DV or higher DV on a tracking check or on a spell. For instance, Eloy made the comment that he wanted his magic to be grounded in something, so he kept asking, is there hairs, is there bone, is there something I could use to do this magic? Well, the difference between Eloy and I is I would say Eloy's free to do the magic, but if he tells me that if he says, and I go around and I look around and I'm going to pick up some bone and so I'm going to look for hair because there's bodies and there's dead cattle, there's got to be something here. And I go over and I investigate and I find a tuft of wolf hair, whatever may happen, or I tell him there's a dead wolf here. Something must have killed the wolf, and he takes that wolf up and he says, "I'm going to cast a spell using this." I would lower the DV because he's using that bone, but he could have still attempted to do it without a bone, But if he had described he had the wolf bone or the whatever it was he was looking for, I would have lowered his DV because it makes it easier to do that thing, right?
Yeah, exactly.
It's like a bonus to what he's trying to do. It's not, he can't do it. He can do it, but that becomes a bonus as opposed to, well, I don't have anything like this, so I can't do this spell. Well, that's up to him. He's defined his magic. He said, well, I can't without it, so that's his decision. I would have said, you're free to do it. And if you happen to have one of those things, I would give you a bonus for that, right? But,
yeah, and you can that's why I call it narrative mechanics. It still has the mechanical effect on that through your narrative description.
Correct.
You know what I mean? So in effect, it kind of it should propel you to be more creative,
narrative,
and like I
mean, Eloy in my game, Eloy literally could have said, "I walk around the bodies."
Entertaining ourselves,
yep,
you know, each other. So I mean, you do that and add flavor to it, and it just
Eloy would not have had to ask me, "Is there bone? Is there hair? Is there something around here?" I would expect him to describe my character. I'm walking around the bodies, and I'm walking through, and I'm kicking around, and I'm looking to pick up a smear of blood or a wolf's tooth, and or whatever that, however he acquires it, and I'm going to use this now to track the beast. That's just a bonus, right? He could have just said, "Hey, I'm gonna concentrate and try to kind of in my mind's eye visualize what happened here, and get a sense of direction the beast went in." That works too, and we're going to make a roll.
It's almost like you could be described as you are the GM in this world over your own character.
Yeah,
and the other, because everybody can do that.
Yep. You just don't make conclusions as to the result. That's all.
Yeah. See, and I know old habits or whatever. This is what the last time at the end of the last session, Ivan was saying that he loved. Well, Tim has a great RSC and dilemmas in there. I used it once too, to great effect. Now, when he constructed his, he made sense within the context of everything, the RSC being in context with what the major and minor dilemma was, which is great and fine and natural. There's various ways to do this. When we started doing this stuff, especially me, I started with vanilla. We didn't have no major amount of dilemma, but that was decided with the first RSC roll and the attention that the player wanted to apply to it, whether they wanted to say screw it or I'm going to do it. And even the length. Some people put sentences. I'll put like one word.
That's me. I use one word.
That gives me some kind of vague abstract thing that I can tie into that moment and say, and that gives me, I feel like more liberty to be more interpretive and less restrictive. But other people may want
why I want one word is I can fit one word into greater context.
Yeah, but see, whenever he does this, so when he said that the first time, I thought, well, we do that too. We fold in what happens. I'll start very vanilla. I'll throw in all kind of different things because I know I'm gonna only roll some.
Yeah,
different seats. Even if they're gonzo or wackier apart from each other. Yeah. When you add it together, like Jory added the hound with the haunt. What does this make? Oh God, the hound's possessed. Okay, so weird things like that, and you connect the dots, which to me is like the aha moments that I love having in the game. When you go.
Yeah, that's what makes us a player. That's what makes us a player.
Yeah. Like in the thing where we run across and you had the assassination and you had the family that was dead and the assassin. You said, "Oh, that's what he's using the child as bait," and then it changed the situation. So all these, like when you link them together, and you go, "Oh, that's good." Yeah, that's what I try to do, and then especially in the first session, right? That's why it's so crazy because I know in the wake of that first session, it's going to get more defined. So I don't want to start myself. I don't want to start defined, tying it to that major and minor. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. But I just let that's why. I mean, when we added the major and minor dilemma, I was kind of on the fence. It's more for structure, and it's fine. It works great that way. But like I know that structure will happen. It's like building a house. Even if I started vanilla and threw you in that town, right? On a road somewhere.
Remember, the reason we added major and minor dilemma is to guarantee that the group as a whole can earn a repute. That's why we added it. So major and minor dilemma are only in the game so the group, if they achieve one of those things, can earn a full repute. Some of the feedback we got was it's unfair because repute is ever going to only happen when something miraculous happens. And you could play for 3 sessions and nobody ever does a thing worth a shit and nobody ever earns repute. And you could have one guy do a lot of miraculous stuff and he keeps racking up repute while the other guys aren't earning any repute. So that's why major and minor dilemma were added to the contest.
Oh no, I get it. I'm just saying the game can be played in various ways. Right?
Yes, gotcha.
And I was okay with it. Otherwise, I'd have been, I'd have been arguing it up and down, right? So I know that there has to be structure to it.
Yeah.
But I'm saying I'm pointing out the flexibility of it.
Oh yeah,
because we played it for so long.
Sure.
I could just throw something out there,
right?
And then it just builds on it, no matter if you have a starting structure,
right,
or not.
Right.
You in the wake of those sessions. The narrative random seeds are going to be built off of and tied to what happened previously.
Yeah.
And it'll become more honed as you play along. So it's going to happen anyway is what I'm getting at.
Well, as far as what you're talking about, the game itself, the session itself, yes, but not repute. The feedback I got from my local, the feedback we got from a couple of the sessions we ran online, either people are going to always try to do something amazing, which gets ridiculous. They're always trying to do something that earns them a repute, kind of like earning momentum in a game or earning a Benny in a game. They're going to always reach for that thing, so they're going to constantly do shit that earns them repute or tries to earn them repute. The game becomes a farce as they constantly try to do something that would earn them repute.
To one-up each other.
Right. So that was problem 1, but problem 2 was, okay, like I said, what if a guy does have this amazing moment? It's like, dude, you get a repute for that. That's amazing. Everybody goes, that's great. But nobody else has an opportunity to do something like that. They're never going to earn repute. So there had to be a way that the whole group in a session or 2 could earn a repute via solving a minor or major dilemma. So that is quite literally about repute. Right? It's not about what direction the session has to go. It just happens to be the underlying problem that guarantees that if they succeed at that, they're all going to get a repute point. Right?
Well, yeah, I know, but it hones focus and cohesion. It gives them a reason to be together.
Oh, gosh, yes.
So, which I know can become problematic, even if we know that we can split up and do screen wipes.
Right.
It's more probably advanced than just an initial group. So I knew it was purposeful that we put it in there and allowed it to be, especially when introducing it for somebody.
Right.
It's more of like, okay, everybody can be on task together, run it.
Right.
I'm just saying that I know that it can be like, if you go beyond that, you can just play it there. It isn't breakable. It isn't where it's going to be like that. Even if you have things that are seemingly erratic and polar opposites, and then there's going to be linking moments when you put them together and you go like, what?
Right.
Because that whole thing I run Jordan and Spencer through, they started on the road to Dredgewater.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And a lot of crap happened even before they got Dredgewater.
That's right.
The whole adventure.
That's right.
And like the second thing was them in Dredgewater. You know what I mean? So
like,
end of it.
So. Like tonight when Eloy knelt down in front of the whole village after the wolf came in and scattered the farmer, was trying to scare it away from his sheep. So Ivan described people reacting to the wolf in town as the wolf came in and stopped and howled, and they were all reacting. When he walks up, kneels down and talks to the wolf and tells the wolf to go, that's an instant repute for me. The whole village has seen him speak to a wolf and give a wolf an order. I don't care whether the village sees it as a negative thing, a witch doctoring. That is, they're all going to go, who the hell is that guy? That's a repute. Now, I can say, depending how...
because repute can be interpretive of as far as...
It's reputation. He is literally in front of people.
Repute or positive.
Correct. I can give
it that you live in.
Correct. But I can give him a repute that he's free to spin positively anytime he wants, right there, any way he wants.
Yeah.
However, to do that, I might then have somebody literally... goes on my next RSC for the next session. Eloy's character, what's his name? Dunstan, accused of being a witch. It goes on my RSC, Dunstan Witch. As there's been enough pagans, there's been enough people, enough Christians around town talking about this guy, and they slowly build themselves into a fervor. And I happen to roll on the RSC, Dunstan, Witch. They get their pitchforks together because they've seen him with a dog. They've seen him.
I would have like him having a rumor that he was the one who sicked the wolves on the
exactly
and ravaged ravaged Father Falcone, etc. And it would just kind of go from there if it was rolled. You know what I mean? If it ever manifested to a certain degree.
And even when I give him a repute, like I did with you with Martin, I said, okay, Martin, that's an instant repute. However, I'm going to define it right now. Your prestige is -1 because these people are like, who? That dude just murdered Martin in front of all of us. So I right there gave you a repute that you could positively spend, but I took away your prestige.
Well, yeah, you're known as that. I mean,
Ivan could have done the same thing. Ivan could have said, you get a repute, spin it how you want, but your prestige just went to -1. You're an outcast, and people start running away from you and screaming and pointing, right?
Well, see, repute to me, okay, look, there's a reason that heraldry was there.
Yes.
It was all pomp and circumstance and to build your legacy in people's minds that you are the ideal this or that or the other, right?
Yep.
So it's to get your recognition up.
Yep.
And so anything that you accomplish is just going to build on that.
Right.
So that's when you build. That's why people have to see it and witness it, and they go, "Oh." So it doesn't matter if it's to a negative. Like, that's a dangerous person. Don't mess with them. Or they're a great person. Let's huddle around them and ask for coins. You know what I mean? There's still the power and prestige that you have in the area is known.
Right here, page 7, Dark Age of Man. Yeah. Dark Age of Man is like other role-playing games. However, our intent with Dark Age of Man is twofold. First, Dark Age of Man wants to liberate the player to create a character, to place the character in the fiction, and to inspire the player to be ambitious in creating a legend or legacy in the Dark Ages. Yeah. Eloy should not be afraid to be seen talking to the wolf as far as building a reputation and a legacy. It may not be it may be that he builds a reputation as a witch, but it doesn't mean that he's going to burn at the stake necessarily, right? That can be a potential outcome, right? But we are saying, we literally define in our description of Dark Age of Man, be ambitious to found your reputation and your legacy. That's part of repute, which is part of prestige, right? I mean, there is a reason, there is an entire system here that hinges upon you recognizing there is something that you're doing, right? You're not just playing a peasant and doing meaningless shit. You may play a peasant, but hopefully
he has a legacy. You know, and he approaches it in different ways.
Who? Who has a legacy?
I'm saying Gandhi has his own legacy, but he does things in his own manner. I'm Gandhi.
Yeah. I don't get your point.
But my point is, I'm talking about, like, even if it would behoove him to keep it on the down low,
right,
for whatever reason, you know, I mean, to like even when Jim said, no, we're not going to bring back this massive thing.
That's right.
We're going to bring this in because it in other words, we don't need to cripple his representation of playing a character by having him ascribe to a goal that would undercut that character portrayal. You know what I'm saying? As far as like, in other words, you can gain that legacy in various ways.
Yeah, by solving the major and the minor dilemma, or doing things that people witness. That's the rules. So Eloy did something that clearly they all would have went, holy shit, he's talking to the wolf, and he sends the wolf out of the village. That to me is a reputation building moment. Right?
Yeah. Well, yeah. But
I mean, Gandhi does have a legacy, but how come Gandhi has a legacy?
No, I'm talking about there's a more subtle character portrayal that can still be there.
Correct.
I'm saying on the opposite side of somebody that could be just more like hit the nail with the hammer.
Correct.
There's ways that you can see it with Eighth the Wall. You can see it with whatever, especially when you're dealing with more peaceable characters.
Oh God, yeah. Maybe look at Sam's character. Sam's character was larger than life. He was doing miracles in front of people. He was calling out Falcone in public. So Sam was doing things that he earned repute for, right, on the big side. Brian's character was very low key, and he earned some repute. He didn't earn as easily for some more, right? But Brian earned some repute for more subtle things, like testifying on your behalf and Jules' behalf. Remember when he testified, he went to Washburn and told him, listen, Jules isn't the problem here, I am. That earned him a repute. But those were subtle. That was between him and Washburn. And then when he rescued your prestige by talking to, those earned Brian's character repute, but they were on the lowdown.
That's what I'm trying to say. I'm trying to point out, in case anybody with first blush, according to reading that, would think that it has to be hammered to nail.
Yeah.
There's a way that you can still effectually play.
Correct.
People like priests or people like merchants that go about things with different methodology that's still going to gather them repute.
Correct.
You know what I mean? Like whenever your merchant set up a trading house between the two, Northwich and that,
right?
Then he gets repute because his name becomes known. Yes. It's synonymous with that trade.
Yep.
So I'm just saying there's a multiplicity.
Oh, yeah.
A multitude of ways to approach and be recognized inside the world, which allows you to be able to play various characters.
Exactly.
And play them legitimately. And sometimes it may behoove you to keep something on the down low.
Oh, it does.
Even if it give you, if it would give you let me say, some repute may be disadvantageous toward your overall
goal
repute, because people usually get the repute and apply it to what you want to do.
Right.
You know what I mean? But that in a certain way shows you that if you want to build your repute or be known as one thing,
right,
or if it would undermine or some other goal, you might want to keep something on the down low. And I'm not giving specific.
Oh, no. I completely agree. And I think, and we've proved that our game is not about combat. You can build repute and be successful and not be in combat. My character, my merchant, I was successful and achieved my goals and was never in combat.
Correct. That's what's so beautiful. I mean, you could be a politician. You could be setting up this and that and be known throughout the nobility, which would filter down to the common
and that'll be the hardest thing for players to do when they come to our table, is not treat this like a version of D&D that's not D&D. The group that treats our game as the typical party going, adventuring, killing stuff, they can do that, but they're not going to experience really what Dark Age is on a larger scale, on a bigger scale, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Like at the end there, when they were talking about they had the evidence to go after Mort, and I suggested now they could call the Witten, and they could legally get a vote from all the aldermen to pursue Mort legally, right? Yeah. And now all the aldermen will loan resources and militia for the Fjord to go collect Mort and be held, and then he would be brought in to be held in a jury trial in front of the Lord, right? They literally could have decided to, or they could ride off into the dark and sneak into his keep and kill him, right? So entirely their thing. But if you're going to think, you can think big picture stuff, you can think much more, and then suddenly it becomes a much more dynamic world in which your characters play. They're not just a sword wielding, they're not just a druid. They could impact the Dredgewater in a political and social way, economic way. My character was trying to economically affect Dredgewater, right?
Whenever I was playing Brother Boethius, and you're 100% right on that. Mm-hmm. But whenever I got possibly repute for doing what Boethius wanted to do was find Falcone and let him know what was going on, and he was a Falcone man, even though it was to Sam's chagrin, right? So, in other words, where I was in company was opposed to, the way it would affect.
Yeah, your character was in league with Darth Vader, and you were still successful. You were still playing, but technically your character was in league with Darth Vader, while my character was in league with the.
That's what I'm talking about.
I mean, you were free to pursue aiding Darth Vader, but you weren't my enemy necessarily.
But I still would have got a repute point, but I was a bit of a spy. Now, do you think if I would have been high profile that I could have been recognized?
Right.
I would have turned that differently as far as being a spy or white cloak in the church,
right,
or whatever. But what I'm saying is, if it would benefit me to keep that on the download, even to get repute in another area and build myself up in the eyes of another area that was at war with, or whatever the situation. I still get a repute point, but I'm saying it still affects your prestige and how, like across the world, as the world's built. So there's reasons that you may not want to proclaim yourself and in front of one station,
and there's and somebody else. This happens all the time. People become infamous for exactly the thing they didn't want to become infamous for.
Yeah.
So you could also become infamous for talking to the wolf in the town square. Oh shit! All these people are pointing at me now, right?
Well,
that's not Eloy's goal, but it has happened because of his actions, right?
Exactly, and even if it affects how you perceived, it also affects like Sam could have really whenever I denied or turned away from Aethelwald.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
and then I went the other way.
Right,
and to a point where there's a climactic battle.
Right.
Macro battle on the battlefield over my soul, essentially. You know what I mean? And that thing I had to go back and forth with.
Yep. I'm
just saying that those moments, it gets to that whenever somebody's having a crisis of faith, or whether somebody's having issues or with that depth of character development and interaction with other characters is a beautiful thing. That's ultimately what the game is about to me. Not just gaining the repute for the repute's sake.
Right.
But you still gain it.
Right.
You still become a legend, but there's a story behind every legend.
Yeah.
Ultimately.
Oh,
So I'm saying that to me is what you remember at the end of the day.
That's right.
How many points you got written down.
Right.
That's the beauty of it. Whenever it manifests like that, like it has in so many games.
Right.
And you will see, and you, like I said, you want to play with these characters with integrity when you're throwing them out there.
It's organic.
Man, I got this.
Yeah.
You remember all those moments are so impactful, and you don't want to betray that character's ideals and their focus on what they believe.
Right. Well,
you want to represent it.
That's
and
right.
they can have a change of heart.
Sure.
And they can have, I'm just saying that's ultimately.
That's right. Well, I mean, I look on like the Chronicles we ran with Sam, Brian, and you, and much of those sessions, you guys weren't even in the same scene together. Sam was pursuing his thing, you were pursuing yours, Brian was pursuing his. I don't think there were many moments in all four of those sessions, your characters wouldn't have been in the same scene. If this was a TV show or a movie, there was only a handful of moments through 4 sessions. You guys were actually in the same scene together. You guys were actually.
I thought I was working on behalf of Sylvester,
right?
And that's what I loved. And whenever I had that meltdown, whenever he admitted he was pagan, which I used to be pagan, and I'm trying to hold on to that moment there, for that character, that was a beautiful thing. Even in story development, that's what you hang on to. So whenever you can have rich and enrichment of play to that level, that's freaking nirvana.
I mean, those Chronicles,
I don't care what anybody says.
There were 3 distinctly individual characters doing their thing, being their character, players being their character, doing their thing. Meanwhile, you guys cross paths at times, and some of those things, I think Brian kind of cured the famine his way, and Sam created a miracle and started feeding the people in the streets. You guys were both completely independent, not them. Brian and Sam both completely independently wanted to arrest the famine by their own terms. Wasn't agreed upon, wasn't what they were going to do. Sam went about doing it his way. Brian went about doing it his way. You didn't even worry about the famine. It wasn't something you were even concerned about. But that was
about the pogrom.
That was a minor dilemma, and of course you all scored repute for rectifying the famine, and you benefited from that as you were part of the. But that's my point.
Association.
But you guys may have been working together, but you weren't working together in any kind of coordinated fashion. It was quite literally what I always dreamed Dark Age of Man would be. You're pursuing your thing, Brian's pursuing his, Sam's. You're all on the same side to some degree. Even the moments between you and Brian, where Brian's like, I'm not sure about this guy, right? You were trying to help Brian, but at the same time, you could tell Sylvester was, I'm not sure about this guy. Sam certainly, remember, there was great moments where Sam was like, if you're going to be a good Christian, man, this is the way you got to be, right? But he wasn't. I mean, so we had these moments where everybody was on the same side, but you weren't you were pursuing your ends that achieved certain goals. It was very organic, and it was very natural.
That's what I say. Whenever you have major and minor dilemmas, that's crap that's happening in the world.
Yep.
It's great if
That's
it can be solved for the benefit of everybody, but not at a detriment of character.
No.
Not for me to...
Just the opposite. It was
the danger of being...
Just the opposite. It was... That's right. No.
It's the danger of being a contrivance to keep us all focused on as a task-based mission.
Right. No, right. In that sense, it's not good. But the famine was happening, and it's a chance for Sam and Brian to express how their character feels about Dredgewater by addressing the famine.
Yeah.
Well, it was a chance for Brian to say, I care about these people. They are my people, and the Lord is, I got to do this for the Lord, I got to do this for the people. Sam, being a man of God, felt he needed to call God to help feed these poor people. The minor dilemma doesn't become this thing they have to do. It's a thing, hopefully, their characters are either going to avoid or their characters are going to embrace. I mean, I don't see major and minor dilemma as a problem. Obviously, I think you still do.
No, don't get me wrong. I'm trying to
right.
illustrate that it could be a trap if somebody uses it.
Yes, as a quest. As a quest.
Thank you.
Yes,
I'm saying.
Yes, I agree. 100%. Yeah,
it's crap that's happening, but ultimately, playing a character genuinely and the interaction between the players at the table.
Yeah,
that is ultimately the thing.
That's
and
it.
I just meant on the side.
Yeah,
as far as the min-maxing of repute, that's secondary because it does have a fallout. Whenever you get a repute, you got to think, okay, I know I'm getting a repute here, but there's going to be, because people are witnessing it's going to change the dynamics of my surrounding and my interaction with these individuals.
It did for Sam. I mean, Sam started becoming people asking. Yeah. I mean, the responsibility for Sam's character. Yeah.
Yeah, whenever that happens, the player is aware of the fact that things have changed. Even at the end of that game, whenever he did a critical fail in front of the priest, now the priest may be, if rolled like in a random seed, or maybe after him or campaigning against him. You feel these things. You know what's happening.
Yep.
And when everybody's aware of this crap happening, that's what's beautiful about being on the same page as it develops.
That's right.
And that's what's key to keep your eye on.
Right.
The rest of it is peripheral.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So it's not the fact that I need to build up so much that I'm just waylaying, or I need to build up.
Right.
It's not that kind of game plan.
No.
It's character. It's character first.
Yeah.
The rest of that crap is just happening around you.
Yeah, this isn't experience points. You're not collecting experience points to get greater.
Yeah, I'm just saying. Right. I think people are preconditioned.
Oh God, yeah. This is why Dark Age of Man's a gamble, because people are going to play it the same way they play D&D.
And that's all this.
That's what's going to happen. 90% of people are going to play it the way they've been playing D&D. That's literally what's going to happen. Despite the book will tell them roll these charts, be random. They're going to do that, but there's still going to be a DM, and the players are still going to wait and ask questions and say, "What can I do?" Right?
Well, like you're saying, it's not breakable. It still works in any way.
It will work. Yeah.
You miss what can happen.
Yeah.
If you don't fully delve in.
Right.
And you know, those chronicles are perfect examples about us playing. We all get a little bit different play styles to some extent. We're all individuals, same way anybody at the eat table is.
Yeah.
But it's just a beautiful thing. That's all.
Yeah.
That's all.
Yeah. And they've all been great. Yeah. I mean, Ivan's 2 sessions have been fantastic. They've worked great. Yeah. But again,
that's why I started with the random seeds, because I was just saying that ultimately, even if you remove that, you're still playing for the character, what the character.
Correct.
You know, you can still play in character, which is ultimately important.
Right.
But I needed a little bit of structure.
Right.
And something needed to be happening.
Yeah.
So it's basically a preset random seed that's already going on in the world. It's conditions that you find yourself in Dredgewater at that moment.
Right.
What seems to be happening, which is totally needed. You know what I mean?
Sure.
For you just drop Dredgewater every time and it be the same situation.
Well, it depends. I mean, like when I made my merchant, I put him there with his goal to. I went in the game, putting myself in play as a merchant of spices. My goal when he introduced us at the dinner with Washburn that's how we were I introduced my character, why I'm there. I had a goal to establish trade with Dredgewater on my routes, on my path through to wherever I was going. So I was determined to start my character off, ultimately attempting to create opportunity to trade through the Alderman or Lord Washburn. Where my character ended up because of the path of the random seeds and the Maynard Dilemma becomes the main priority for my character, right? Which ended up being me trying to stop a revolt by sending my bodyguard in there. He killed a peasant by accident, and I ended up on trial. Then we had to escape Dredgewater. But I did go into the game with a goal, right? So this is why I say, what's your 3 repute? Why are you here? That's why I said, and I try to outline that in the book. Make your character, in the first session, share why you got your 3 repute. You guys may be connected, you may not. Then I want you to put yourself in, I may describe the place, or I may say, I don't know where we're at. Let's start with you, Bill. Where are we at? Oh, it's midnight, and I'm stoking the fire, and I'm burning lard down because I'm going to use this lard to sell to the baker, because that's your goal, right? You've made a peasant, and your peasant's trying to earn some, and we're like, okay, that means something. You're at midnight and you're baking lard down, and you're gonna, by tomorrow morning you want to deliver this lard to the baker. Well, I don't know, whatever the fuck you're doing, right? But you hopefully have thought about who your character is and the goals your character has. Because you don't know that you're going to be a grand hero. You don't know that you're going to face the dragon. You don't know that you're going to take on bandits. You don't know that you're going to be. That doesn't mean you can't make a warrior who says, yeah, I'm currently a sergeant in the guard at the main manse at Dredgetown. And so you put your character in the barracks. Literally, right? And so then Eloy knows, oh, well, Bill started us at midnight for some bizarre reason. Where the hell am I at midnight? Well, I'm sleeping. And, I'm sleeping in my tent because I've been hunting all day, and I've been, harassed by wardens who think I'm poaching. Okay, we now know we got a character here's hiding in the woods, and he's been bothered as a poacher. So I'm assuming there's some goals there for this character, right? And then I say to Jose, "Where are you at, Jose?" Well, I'm the sergeant of the guard here at the castle. I'm actually asleep in the barracks, right? And I'm trying to become, I'm trying to earn my what is it called when you earn your land for time served. I've got it in our book, the glossary.
Oh, geez.
You earn your land for time served, vassal. To become a. And so we now know that Jose has a goal. He wants to do enough that he earns his land from the Lord. So I know, so Jose should be doing things in session toward getting that land. That's his goal. He wants to become a landed man, not just a guard for right? And then we roll some dice. And what are you doing then, Jose, to get this land, man? It's on you. You're leading the dance. What are you doing, Jose? Yeah. Right? Well, I'm going to train these soldiers, and I'm gonna listen. I'm gonna put my ear to the ground and hear about any trouble, and then I'm gonna attempt, with some of my soldiers, my prestige of 2, to go end that trouble, so I can get in good with the Lord. Awesome, right? What are you doing, right? So, where are they kind of in charge of the human being that exists in the world and what they must be trying to do to achieve their goals? So I'm okay with goals, and I don't think a lot of players come to session with goal other than to level up. Right? So they're thinking D&D again. Well, really, I'm going to play this guy and I'm going to level up to get stronger. Well, in Dark Age of Man, hopefully, you're a character that exists in the world and you must have some reason for being, right? You can make yourself somewhat elite, or you can make yourself a peasant living in the mud, right?
What was great for me when I was at the convention was I almost didn't, but I said, okay, how'd you get your 3 repute? And everybody, did you hear Jim say that? He said, I didn't think about it, but then he came up with this awesome story.
Yeah, he did.
Struck the iron.
Yes, and burned down the house.
And had to turn to the church and everything like that.
Suddenly you're invested.
Because, yes, Yes, so I think that's what happened around that table. I was literally going like, "Dang," because it was just like they see when you have that handshake. It's all about a handshake at the table.
Yep.
It's like we depend on each other. We trust each other. We're throwing that information back and forth. It's shared, and we're continuing. We're continuing what's happening, what's evolving right in front of each other. We trust each other, and that was there with people I didn't even know.
That's right.
So they were doing that. Okay, another thing I want to point out because. Whenever you're having that trust back and forth,
right?
Like I guess maybe it could be posed as a question as far as the necessity, because I play with people that haven't played the game, that grasp it fairly easily, and because of the excitement that they get, this agency to express themselves, they come up with these really creative ideas, and I have no way to gauge their previous understanding or their how many books they've read or how much they can cull from this and that.
Right.
Like Eloy said that a lot of the magic he read from various books and some of his favorite books kind of informed him.
Yeah.
Now everybody's going to have information come through movies or come through anything, just experiences in life or concepts or whatever that can be applied in game.
Yep.
As far as like if you want to be a mage and how to leverage that. So, which he's doing it beautifully. Like he's even setting
beautiful
parameters.
Yeah.
He's even setting parameters for Ivan to play off of and the rest of the guys to play off of as he describes what this effect is, right? And so he does it with a self-balancing thing. Like I said, he's already pre-laid the foundation for failure and success and everything like that you can tie in. So he's setting that there and going like, okay, this is what we got, guys. Let's see what happens. Which is great. What I'm saying is it kind of ignites people, and I think that freedom of agency and expression really compels people to, like I said before, bring their A game. You know what I mean? As far as like, go, they have the liberty to do that. They're not on that same old ask questions, then tell your actions according to the list of things that you can do. You know what I mean? Like pick and choose. That list is thinking for you in effect in a lot of respects.
That's right.
Okay, but as far as like I said at the table, when you're having that handshake and you're sharing this narrative, like I said, the player, if you want to just say like he's a GM over himself in this world, so he gets to lead what he's doing. Recognizes the mutual boundaries across the table, and the presenter represents the world and the NPCs and pushes back off what they're attempting to do just by logic. Everything's going, everybody's handshaking. But it was a beautiful thing whenever I mentioned Vidar. And because I've read enough about Vikings, and obviously you have too, or whatever. I said, I'm burning. No, he's already settled down. Near trying to.
He's the Thatcher. He's already settled himself in. He's got a family. He's the Thatcher.
Trying to meld himself into the local
Christians.
And he's like, and then this flood wipes out his family. So he's laying on the top of the thing, and he defaults back to that because he feels like he's been betrayed. Like Eloy said, like, why did God allow this to happen? That's why he went to try to attack the priest.
That's right.
Remember when he said wolves? He wasn't attacking the wolves. He was going for the priest. Like, let me at him first, right?
Right.
When he thought he was going for Aethelwald.
But I was listening to all of that, and I knew.
That's why I said
Right. So I honored what you were depicting.
There you go. That's what I'm saying. So whenever I was with Falcone and woke up, what did Falcone say?
Right. Falcone said, well, this is what you get for burning your family, as opposed to burying him in the Christian way.
I was smiling on the inside. I was like, you picked that up. You picked that kernel.
Right.
That seed.
And you know what was amazing about that is the guilt trip it lays on you in the situation you're already in, but more importantly is how it affected Sam.
Oh,
because it secured what Sam thought of Falcone immediately as an evil guilt, the guy that uses shame and guilt, right? I mean, it made Sam despise Falcone in the first moments of the campaign.
I know, he's like, I hate that guy.
Yeah,
but see, Vidar made total sense because when you turn it back around on him, he's going like.
And what's amazing is I didn't make Falcone the bad guy. I didn't make him an evil guy. I just made him a guy who said, "This is what happens when you burn your family instead of."
Oh, exactly.
Right. You didn't give him a Christian burial. This is what happens to you, Vidar. You're lucky to be alive. Fortunately, he saved you from the wolf. That's not evil. He's not evil. That's what he does. But Sam immediately said, "This son of a bitch," and then of course, you guys made him an evil villain, not me. right?
That was from our perspective.
Yes.
Because he's got a different worldview.
Yeah.
That was from what eventually, but see,
and that led to the session 3.
Had different worldviews.
Right, and that led to session 3 when my inciting incident was Falcone was now living in the manse, whispering in the ear of Lady Washburn, who issued pogroms to kill pagans, while Lord Washburn was comatose. Right.
Yeah.
And all of that came from how Falcone became this enemy of Sam.
How he was portrayed.
When he called him out in the, and Falcone called Sam out and said, "You're a miracle worker. Show me your miracles." And Sam, I called him out in public, right? It was natural the progression that Falcone was becoming the antithesis of Sam's character. He was naturally becoming Sam's enemy, Sam's anti-Sam, right?
I know.
Right?
It's great.
And not because I wrote it, not because we designed it, but because I'm naive and I'm responding to who you express your character as. If you express your character as John Wayne, then naturally there's going to have to be the anti-John Wayne somewhere in this deal.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
But I just love how if you play your character and his worldview,
right,
and if another worldview runs counter, doesn't set with yours,
right,
there's going to be conflict.
Yeah.
No matter how you handle it, if you're a priest, you pray for them or you try to lead them to the right, which is obviously the way Jim's interpreting his character.
Correct.
Toward, I will endure what they're doing, or I'll turn a blind eye to it because eventually
what I love about what Jim's doing is Jim's character, I literally see Jim's character's goal. He is shepherding these two guys.
Well, yeah,
that's what he's seeing himself really about saving their souls and shepherding these. He's not concerned so much about what's going on in the big world. It's about these two guys, and of course protecting the Christian villagers from the negative things.
When you shift play to more of character, then you have that that ability to deep dive and express,
right,
and understand where your character's coming from, and empathize with that character's situation and see through their eyes as they interact with the world and their fellow party members. That's ultimately, like I said, that nirvana tier that you reach to as far as character play, where you got everybody playing honestly and playing their characters. And then that's why I said everybody doesn't have to be on the same page as far as being a party and playing.
Oh no, I mean, I fully expected Jose to go after the bandits by himself. I mean, his character is fit enough that he could have gone after those bandits alone. I kind of thought that might be what happens. They'd split up. The way they started the session, I thought, so we're going to find out Jarek's doing something, and Jose might go after the bandits by himself, and it'd be interesting to see where Brother Dunstan's at, what he's doing. And, of course, they came together and chose to go after him as a group. But I really thought, this is going to be interesting if Jose goes after these bandits by himself. It's going to be fascinating.
Oh, yeah.
Right? While Brother Dunstan does his thing, and right. So it just depends on how groups play, right? It's nothing wrong with being a group and a party with a brotherhood doing a thing.
No, it's nothing wrong with it. Because you can stay together elbow to elbow locked.
Right.
And you can still have disagreements.
Right. But
you can still have different,
But even like David's session so far, and I've only been able to be in one of them, hopefully, again, Tuesday, or this upcoming Tuesday, we're going to have a chance to do it again. I mean, I created a character that quite literally can't really exist with you guys. He's a wild man who's...
Oh, yeah, I know.
Right?
Yeah.
So there will be some moments clearly where we may intersect, and there'll be moments where clearly there'll have to be something that we would all be on the same page about. But it's quite conceivable my character will be doing other things while you guys are doing what
He's like doing. Gollum running around us, tracking. I mean, in a way, like I can see Sam and
I mean,
and
I don't know how we're going to start session 2. It'll be fascinating to see how David handles this. But my character's already run away when he heard the horns. So when he introduces that session and he says, "Where are you at, Melton?" he's going to get a shock because I ain't going to be hanging out. I'm not going to be following you guys in the next session. Right? Yeah. Maybe not. I don't know. We'll see. But my point is, Melton might quite literally, I might put Melton somewhere completely and utterly away from your guys' dealings with these, with the southern border, right?
Until you slip into his nasty feet and let the situation inform you. You don't know how you're going to react.
Correct.
So you react in that moment.
Right,
you
because
you don't presuppose anything.
Melton quite literally exists in his own world. He isn't part of culture.
Yeah.
He's not part of Dredgewater. He's not part of civilization. He is surviving. And therefore, I could have literally among these chronicles, I could end up having a coinciding parallel with you guys in these sessions, my own little stories, my own little characters' adventures. Yeah. May and may not ever meet you guys again, right? And that is terrifying, I think, for most tables. It's very scary for GMs, and I think it's a counterintuitive for most groups of players. My character doesn't have to be a black sheep and wrecking the session for you guys. My character literally is existing and doing what he does, and the RSCs that David rolls can come up in front of you guys or in front of me. He could roll Pack of Wolves and present them in front of you guys, whatever you're doing, or he could say contextually, well, Melton's in the woods. Pack of Wolves, Melton, right? He's going to have this RSC that he can use to handle any situation.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So it'll be fascinating, yeah.
In that game for the situation at the convention, I'd rolled werewolf, right? but it doesn't necessarily, to me, indicate the danger level so much as far as what would be situationally appropriate.
Right.
And when they pulled themselves up with that edge, I could just see it in my mind.
Yeah.
Some kind of they're trying to fixate on this creature that's writhing around and going through, you know what I mean, alterations in his body. Is it you hear cracking? Just go through this mutation.
Yeah, right.
And they,
turning back into a man.
They come over the ledge. Yeah, they walk over there and peer down at this naked individual.
Right.
And none of them recognize it except the priest.
Right.
And it was one of his brothers.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
So he looked down there and saw that. So it was a moment of like, what is he going to say in front of them and whatnot? And they took him, kind of covered him up with a sackcloth. He didn't know what was going on.
Yeah.
You know, he was like bewildered.
Yeah.
And then the other guy that was a priest, he had a similar occurrence with, he thinks, Danes.
Yeah.
They were on that winter island where the Danes were, but the Danes had already left, and their encampment was there, right? So that wolf was right there, and then like, what are you going to do with it? They take him, but then they see that he's got blood, you know, in certain areas around him, right?
Right.
And then, but the priest is still not believing it. We'll take you back or whatever like that. Anyway, they end up tied, but they want him tied up for safety.
Right.
Because some of them, there was a little argument about that, so they tie him up there. Well, anyway, they have to leave post haste.
Yeah.
After they set that place on fire to burn down the thing.
Yeah.
They forget about the freaking priest they tied up. They leave on these barrels. They roll the barrel because they roll a magnificent success on catching the place on fire. So it's starting to go up like tinder, right? So they're having to get off the place. They throw the barrels down, and roll, and then they, I was like, get to the side because they overshot where they was trying to meet the other group.
Yeah,
it was two separate parties.
Right.
So they finally said, well, these tree limbs are reaching down in their natural place to catch because it was literally like a 12. It was one of the crit rolls,
Right.
So it caught the barrels and they climbed up. And when they got up there, it just said next one I rolled was like body found.
Oh, dead.
Earlier it was a merchant.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Who had been mauled.
So
right.
And he ends up giving them that, but he was mauled and he was laying there, right?
Yeah.
So they're seeing him. And I'm like, okay, it was a dead body. So I'm putting 2 and 2 together, okay?
Yeah.
And then these other guards roll out, Mort's men.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then that was a situation. They said they bribe them. There's cask of ale in the thing.
Yeah.
Just let it go. 2 of them was still there, right? But anyway, I mean, needless to say, you could assume that body was ravaged by that
werewolf.
Yeah. That somehow along the travels or whatever.
Yeah.
I don't really know, but that's what can be assumed.
Yep.
But later on, when they got up there and reported everything back to Washburn, as the two groups got together, they're sitting in this chambers, right?
Yeah.
And the lady, Miss Washburn, she's chastising the boy for, he's nothing but. It was so funny because when he came back, he got back after curfew, supposed to be back, and he rolled like how was she going to receive him? And it was very negative. So she was like, we had to take you in, and she's always, so she was like, she just points at him. This is another example. He's just coming in with these, where's he's been over the last 2 days or whatever the crap.
Right.
Anyway, they have this thing when they're telling the story, this revelation that they still got the priest was there as they're trying to tell Washburn, you bury everybody. And so anyway, they end up canonizing the priest as a saint. He was burned at the stake. So it was great, man. It was like 4 hours worth. So
that's awesome.
It was a lot of action.
Awesome. And 5 people, right? And
that was
everybody gets to be a character. Everybody gets to be involved, right? And it's awesome.
I mean, it was action packed. They went up against Danes and everything. It was
that's like tonight. I mean, 19 minutes in, and they appear to have not done much, but in 19 minutes, quite a bit was done. Quite a bit was talked about, learned, achieved, before they actually set out to hunt down the bandits, right?
They went across. They found, of course, the fishermen, the bodies hanging.
Yeah.
Eloy did his, which is very cool. The stuff that he comes up with.
Yeah.
Conceptually, he doesn't break it. He wants to, like you had said before, everybody wants to be there.
Yeah.
And everybody wants to represent their characters. Yeah. And like he said, you're still performing in front of everybody. That's right.
Yeah, you're still entertaining the group. Sure you are. Yeah.
Yes. So you feel that onus is on you to do that. So. And when you get a chance, like in this game, to really deep dive into character expression and development, I mean, you got agency to do that.
Yeah, and you don't even have to. You don't have to deep dive to create character. I mean, like last night, as Virat in that kill of the goblin, just the way I narrated killing that goblin and how I narrated how he killed him, and I mean, all of you instantly knew who Virat was in one short description of how he killed that goblin and how he grinded and stood up. You all knew that Virat at this point was an angry, vengeful, right? And all I had to do was describe how he murdered that goblin, right? I'm not even playing Virat, but I guarantee everybody in the party now knows, okay, as George said, I lean over and say, we might want to give this guy a wide berth. Right.
Yeah, but that's what you say. Some people call that vanity role playing because it's not essential to the play itself. But it is in Dark Age of Man because it lets us know who your character is, and that way you can inform it. You can interact.
But if that's true, so if that kind of description is vanity, then anytime you act out any NPC as a DM in any game, it's vanity. So it is definitely essential to understanding the narrative that we're all in, right?
Oh, correct. I mean, you still understand the narrative and you do that. I'm just saying you take sections of it. It's not critical.
No,
because
we could have just said, okay, Virat kills the goblin and we all move on, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just saying in Dark Age of Man, it's more needed to where you get like a It's like a beer versus palate, savoring the wine or whatever, where you can get to understand character and know them a little bit different. Whether they say something, whether you learn a lot about them by what they don't say in certain moments, whether you describing their actions, and the way they move. You know what I mean? Yeah. There were scenes where Brother Boethius, like I was focused and his mind was on what he had to do when he's walking, and your character comes running up and talks to him. Well, that interaction lets you know the mindset, and that interaction is key for people to be tuned into, and for Sam to go, okay, well, obviously he's intent, or either he's focused or bothered, or he's trying to like block out what may be bothering him to keep on task, because he's turning a blind eye to whatever may be. Hampered. So you can describe, or you can.
People talk about role play all the time, but then if those moments are vanity, or not important, then you're not role playing. That's been my argument all along. All of those moments are what role play is. Because if not, it's just about rolling dice against the next challenge and the next combat and the next challenge and the next combat. All of that is role playing, right? Those moments.
Yeah, I'm just. Well, you might say that it's mistitled as a role play game. Then traditionally because
right.
it's pretty much a mechanical based system out of necessity. I'm just saying the Dark Age of Man,
right?
It more necessitates the narrative description of your character,
right.
the action,
right.
the subtlety, the interaction between the others.
Yeah.
Because what you're doing is sharing your character's worldviews,
yes,
and how they
correct,
intersect,
and it directly affected the next moments because my character broke away from your character while you went on your way. My character went on his way. Right. And so
when I
those
wash my face,
those interactions dictate whether my character is at this point invested in the direction you're headed, and vice versa. And it changes whether we're in cahoots together or whether we're in the same. Right. And then like real human beings in real world dilemmas, you may coexist in the same village, but we're not buddy, right? And we may cross paths again on the battlefield together or against each other. We may cross fields together again in the inn, but we're not enemies, but we're not friends. And that ain't going to happen in D&D. It's just not.
No.
Because D&D is about a party of guys doing a thing, right?
What did you think when Boethius went up there and was trying to get into the gate and the people were clamoring around at him and he was like, get off me, back off me.
Correct.
And you're sitting there going,
you were just the opposite of what I thought a Christian should be.
Sam was like, what? You know what I mean? With my version of a Christian is they're getting what, if they want to wallow in filth and sin, they're going to be, that's going to be manifest on them. So therefore, what you see is what you get.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it was a different take, but y'all were like, those moments when that little, like, dang, that just really, this dude, like you said, Sam hated Falcone. See, the Sam on a different level than just like I rolled to hit or whatever.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
This is what, when you watch a movie, when you watch anything where you're like, at least sympathetically invested or you're repulsed by, it moves you emotionally.
Right.
And that's what we're trying to do with this game is to get to a level
where players and that's where Dark Age of Man is not black or white. It's gray. It's very gray. Right? Oh, yeah. Like real life, especially the Dark Ages. It's not black and white, good or evil. There's some gray in Dark Age of Man. And the gray is going to exist, not among the dilemmas that we create. The Vikings are raiding, they're bad. Stop the Vikings, they're going to wreck your village. That's pretty easy black and white dilemma, right? But guess who ends up being gray in Dark Age of Man? All the characters end up being gray because you guys are pursuing your ends, not necessarily evil or good, but you're pursuing your ends to your means. That becomes very gray in it depending on what my character views as important, right?
Yeah.
Or yours. When Brian as Sylvester says, Vidar, watch Martin, and walks away. Right?
Well,
doesn't cross his mind what Vidar is going to interpret that statement.
I want to have that clip because both of them, you could just see them rocking their chair and it was like, oh my God, I can't believe this happened.
Right.
It was like the first human death in the game.
Well, and definitely Sylvester thinking, I probably should have given him better orders. Right.
That was like a world-changing event on a micro scale that was emotionally upsetting to everybody.
Yeah, because Brian had spent so much time negotiating with Martin to learn about the druid and had talked to Martin about making sure that he talks to the Lord and don't give away that we found that wagon of food. So Brian's trying to play both sides of the fence. He's trying to keep Martin as part of the culture. He didn't see Martin as a bad guy, right? But your interpretation of what he says, keep a close eye on this guy, literally in the middle of the town square where the pagans are getting restless.
Yeah,
right?
it was how I viewed the intent of his statement.
Yeah.
Right?
And that stuff to me is character and it's authentic action. You played your character authentically and it leads to actions.
It was beautiful.
Right.
I mean, it was.
And Brian's playing his character authentically, and
but Jason, you only get out of it what you put into it.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, bingo. Like last night, nobody else may have gotten anything out of how I portrayed Virat's killing of the goblin. But when Todd says step into Virat's shoes, I stepped into him all right. This guy's been held captive. He's watched all of his people fed to the dire wolf. He's watched mud hauled away. He's been kept in this fucking cellar.
Yeah, I know.
Right? And the minute he has a shot at one of these fucking goblins, right? And when I rolled a 5 and waylaid it, I said, it's going to be this brutal destruction of this goblin. And I'm going to express myself through that situation. And I think I did so well enough that everybody said, okay, Virat is an angry man.
Like a silence in the room and that knife drop.
And when David says, I wanted to interrogate that guy. I mean, it was perfect, right? When David said, well, I'd hoped to capture that guy. It's like, and you can imagine Virat standing there sweating and mad and bleeding, with blood dripping off his dagger. And David's like, dude, I wanted to capture that guy. It's like, it's perfect. And all of it was authentic. I was Virat. I was going to kill him. And David was like, damn, I kind of thought we might be able to get something from that goblin.
Well, you can get.
But it happened. It happened so fast, right?
Yeah. And it was great. You can get to know each other. I'm just talking about the door is closed where we're just trying to open it MFR. You know what I mean? Where people can walk through.
Yeah.
You feel free to walk through. Don't it's not moments when
That's
you
right.
can.
That's right.
If you're bold enough to represent a character. In the game that doesn't necessarily require it, but you want to add a little flavor to how people view your character. That guy was a nut, or he's dangerous, or he's goofy.
And in Dark Age of Man, we're hoping to set the table by saying, "Well, where are you at right now, Jose? Oh, I'm hunting. I'm in the woods hunting right now for food. Oh,
yeah,
I've rolled an RSC that says bandits about. Well, as you're sneaking through the woods hunting a deer, you spy a group of guys over in the woods, and he said, well, I'm gonna go investigate. Who are these guys? They poachers? What? He walks right under the bandits, and he encounters the bandits right there. It's him versus 6 bandits. Because I rolled the RSC, and he tells me he's out hunting. So he's on his own little adventure, right? And all this happening. When I said, well, where are you at now, Brother Dunstan? I'm doing this thing. I'm gardening. I'm doing labor for a pittance, right? And I rolled an RSC. I rolled an RSC that says, orphan child, and he tells me that he's doing labor, right? That's how he pays his pittance to God. He's digging a hole. I said, well, while you're digging a hole, this girl walks up to you crying, and well, excuse me, little girl, what's wrong with you, right? And he interacts with this RSC. They're both existing in Dredgewater, being their characters, doing their thing. And never the twain may meet, or they might all come together for a greater cause or whatever, right?
Yeah. Even at the convention, I was the first guy, which he was a soldier.
Yeah.
Where you at? Well, I'm in the tavern. Kick back. Just kind of, talking to a girl at the table.
Right.
Yeah. But he's kind of hamming it up, talking to a couple of girls in there, whatever. And then I said, where's the trapper? Well, he said, I'm trading some pelts I'm coming to town to trade some pelts to get some seeds because he's got a little garden out there, to trade out or whatever. So I said, okay, you're traveling down here. Where are you? And it was like the witch was in the tavern too, but she had a little table and she was trying to, approach people about selling some of her wares.
Right.
Now, where are you at, priest? He said, I'm in a wagon heading to town, done the thing because I got to bring some hay, some dry hay,
right?
Horses, the stables at the thing. And I said, because it's all mucky and and I was like, you guys just set the place. This is what's happening. And I rolled the seed. It was that simple.
It's perfect.
They grabbed hold of it like both ears.
Yeah, exactly. And there's no right or wrong for any of it. It's just a matter of what you normally do in, say, old D20 as a party on an adventure to do a thing in a dungeon or whatever. Dark Age of Man, you can do that, but you can also say it's nothing like that.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. When Brian said, I said, where are you at, Brian? Well, I'm chained up in the basement of Von Mort, and he's making me do all of his records. And I'm like, what? Dude, what? And then he says, and I find among his scrolls and things a deed about property. And I'm like, make a luck check on that, and let's see if Von Mort's aware of it, And he felt, because he had a -1 luck, and he had a -1 luck, and Von Mort was very aware it was forged. He had forged documents while he was down in the basement, and he said, I'm going to present this to Von Mort. And I said, well, make a luck check to see how well you forged this. And his luck was a -1. He failed it, and Von Mort's like, bullshit. This is phony, and throws it out. And so he was trying to get something, and he couldn't, and then he had to try to escape, and he ended up, of course, a victim of a bog hag as he got lost.
Oh, yeah. I remember that. Strange.
I'm like, dude, you literally just put yourself in the bad guy's basement, chained up doing his record keeping, So I thought he must want some. So he wanted to create a situation in which, here's an example of a guy who literally said, I want to earn repute. Putting myself in that situation and escaping from Von Mort will earn me repute. So he literally was trying to manipulate earning repute. It was classic. And I told him, I said, here's the irony. You could have escaped from Von Mort, but no one will know it. Because it has to be witnessed.
Yeah. Well, see,
so it's like, Brian, you're not going to earn a repute for that.
Well, see, you threw that back to an earlier game before we did the dilemma. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
The dilemma ties everybody, kind of puts everybody in a localized situation.
Correct.
Where everybody could initially, which might be a burden for people, to say, like, he was there and then she was over here and whatever. But you definitely still, like I'm saying, it's not breakable.
Yeah.
You still screen wipe, go back and forth, and find out these individuals, whether they eventually meet it, at some intersection or not.
Yeah.
You find out what happened to him. He barely made it out, and then he was strangled to death. In the drown. So I mean, that was what happened to that dude. So you little window of like, this is what happened to that guy.
Well, that game, and then what pissed off Brian was he was in the middle of making a new character, and Phil was late to that. Phil got there, literally walked in, and I handed him. I think he had a. I can't remember if it was a pre-made or what, but I walked. He got in there. He got to the session late. Phil is a friend of Josh, Katie's little brother. So Phil gets there late, and I'm describing how Connor is. I rolled the RSC. Connor's drowning in River Dredge, right? I rolled Connor drowning, and I described to Phil as he says he's.
Oh, and he pulls him out,
striding through town. Yeah. And I said, you hear people screaming, Connor, he's in the river, he's drowning. And he, without thinking, literally said, I run and into the flood, and I dive in and swim for the kid. And he makes the luck check, he makes the body check to drag the kid out, survives, saves Connor. And I said, that's a repute, man. So he was in the game like 5 minutes and earned a repute for this heroic action, which could have killed him and the kid. And Brian put himself in this bizarre situation thinking, I'm going to score a repute when I get out of this. And it was like, Brian's watching him earn a repute naturally through a normal, because he could have, And it's like, you can't manipulate it. Just play. You can't manipulate it.
You can still do them situations with the seed. He could have been in Von Mort's man, even though Dredgewater would have been frozen over and starving.
Yep.
You can still do it. I'm just saying. Yep. I'm just saying you can play it any kind of way. So if you want to play it to where somebody's starting in a different area, like in the body thing in the convention.
Yeah.
The first time I rolled body found was after the end slid off the pier.
The troll
went into there, and it was a hole. Yeah, but this was after I rolled body, and then they see a body floating that had bumped its way out. In front, and then old boy dove into it.
Right.
And he pulls him up, right? Yeah. And when he pulls him over, it was one of the two
Danes.
Yeah. So then you see what I'm saying? So that just, I don't know. He didn't take a moment to ascertain anyway. He was eager to get in there and because it was all focused on trying to.
Yeah. Well, and if you believe that you're a character in a place, you're going to play hopefully authentically. You're going to react and respond and be.
Right. Yeah. You're not going to need much prompting.
I mean, Phil didn't know Connor was anybody. I just said that they're screaming, Connor's drowning, and he just ran. I mean, he just described how he ran waist down and then started swimming out in the flood to save the kid. I'm like, I don't fucking believe this. And he made some rolls and got the kid out. And I said, and the whole town's cheering because you've just rescued the Lord's youngest son. And Phil had been there 5 minutes. He got there, and this went down in the first 5 minutes that he showed up. And Brian, of course, is making a second character, pissed off that he's earned a repute already. It's like
face in the mud
because he didn't even think about whether it could kill him or not. It's kind of like that, that old joke. Would you run toward the fire or away from the fire? Well, we don't know until we're in that situation. Well, Phil is, I can't remember the name of his character. Conrad. He was the Tanner, Conrad Tanner.
Yeah.
Which you guys then later dealt with in the beginning of the, you guys were selling your,
I remember.
Yeah, Tanner, you guys.
Because their thing folded over into what happened with us.
Right.
So, or what initially started that campaign.
Right. Yeah, so
that was
fun.
sweet.
But yeah. So anyway, my point is, and this has been amazing watching Ivan and Eloy and Jose and Jim. They've done a great job.
Really
it's been amazing.
Them doing that. There's a lot of aspects, and I love watching them represent.
And I thought they handled the mob and pack combat well. Ivan perceived what that DV really means when he said, "If you do something really crazy, I'm going to raise that DV." That's right. Yeah. And so if he defined that he opens a crevice under the sorcerer, and he succeeds at that, there's nothing wrong with that, right? If he says, because I want him to fall into the Earth's core, well then he's got to raise the DV because that ends the combat in one fell swoop.
Well, it's the same as your thing about flying. Yeah, you know what I mean. Yeah. If you're going to do something,
because that's a way of trying to work. That's a way of trying to avoid the combat. That's a way of trying to end the combat in one move. You've got to treat that. You've got to recognize. Well, instead of saying, "Well, no, that's not fair,"
what you're trying to do too, is as far as
go ahead and do that, and he falls. The crevice is just not that deep. The crevice is only 20 feet down. He falls and takes a wound, right?
Yeah, you're still trying to affect things. Mm-hmm. If there's indirect effects and direct effects, and the situation is going to, I mean, like you said, situation you can try, but you can feel that DV fluctuating,
right?
And for whatever they're going at. I mean, he set the DV, I think 11 for the big baddie, and then the rest of the guys are 8.
Yeah, which is perfect, totally perfect. Yeah.
So what are you going after?
Yeah. That's right, and they were all again with a mind of 3, and with Jose with his body of 4 and a sword +1. So he's formidable, and so they should waylay. I mean, it might take them a few rounds, but they should have done well there, really, and they did.
Yeah.
And so the game is not designed for you not to be capable. The game is designed to be. You fell 3 or 4 rolls, you're in deep shit.
Well, especially, and it can be quick, especially if you do crit fails.
Oh, God, yeah. Dude, I mean, you're 5 wounds away from dead. You're literally 5 rolls away from dead, right?
Yeah, you get 1 and 2 crits, you're dead.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
And so, I am completely okay with the way that works, right? So, but yeah, I mean, narratively, you can handle it. I'm going to open a crevice under them, and he casts the spell, and he succeeds. And Ivan says, yes, the crevice opens and he drops directly down 20 feet and takes a wound, right?
Okay.
But
then again, I mean,
But you've now destroyed, you've now opened a crevice in the fucking inn's floor. You've direct Black Eve in. There's going to be ramifications for destroying the inn.
That's my point. Yeah, the same way as burning it down or anything, you got to deal with the repercussions of.
I mean, I told Jenny, if you said I want a horse and I say make a luck check, and you fail the luck check, that doesn't mean I have to say you didn't find a horse. You do, and you mount the horse and you take off. The failed luck check is somebody owned that horse and ain't too happy about it.
Yeah.
And so there's going to be...
The guys were looking for a shovel in that thing.
Yeah.
But it was right when they were trying to dig up and around, and the Lord had called all the workers.
Right.
And every tool was manned, and the guy wasn't interested in stealing. He was asking everyone.
Yeah.
I just had to roll prestige, and it was like, no. We got the Lord on our back. We got to get so much work out, otherwise we're going to be flogged. I didn't say that exactly, but they had that.
Right.
Like, what? Dig in. You didn't bring your own shovel? But I was just curious about the side thing, But eventually they had to lift one somewhere.
Yeah,
but
and it really is easy and intuitive and fun. There is the toughest thing's going to be for GMs to not be too controlling, and for players to reach a little further out, which is probably the hardest thing to define. What does that mean, right? What does that mean?
Yeah,
enough.
I think people aren't used to taking the agency to that degree.
Enough that it creates a role, and that role, success or failure, can change situation or circumstance. So you want them to reach out enough that they're going to create a role. Whether they say I'm doing a thing and they roll the dice and you set the DV, or they say they're going to do a thing and then you say, okay, make a mind check, DV, whatever, right? That's gonna drive the next narrative step, right? Okay, you succeeded. What does this mean, Eloy? What were you trying to do?
Okay,
I'm trying to get the scent. I'm using magic to get the scent of the creature. So he could literally have used his magic to smell the creature and track the creature, right? It's whatever he envisions his character to be, right?
Yeah, but like I'm saying, the way he's respecting and representing his character, that seems more plausible.
Yes,
that he would call something out, and he did that.
Yep.
Too, if he failed, he was mindful of the fact that it could be a failure.
Yeah.
So he's even helping preload Ivan.
Yeah. So Ivan says a wolf comes out of the forest and says, "Hey," but he could have said a wolf comes storming out of the forest, snapping at your neck because he failed the roll, right?
Yeah.
You called the wolf to you, but is the wolf going to respond positively, or is the wolf coming after you? So that was perfect. The way he said, "I'm calling a creature from the woods." He doesn't have to say, because I'm going to talk to the creature. The die roll is going to allow Eloy to take agency to say, "I tell the creature, track him." Right? If he failed that roll, Ivan could say, Ivan could say a boar comes rushing out of the trees and stampede you, giving you a fatigue condition. And now they're dealing with an angry boar, right? In the woods.
Yeah, but everything there's failure consequences too.
Yep.
But anyway, I'll have to jump off.
Yeah, buddy, it's 4 hours. Frick, man. Yeah, brother.
It's midnight my time.
Yeah. Awesome. Another great week. Another great session from the guys. I'll get this rendered and uploaded sometime tomorrow. So
yeah. That sounds awesome, great, man.
Thanks,
great.
brother.
Good talk, too.
Thanks, brother. Man. Great talk. All right. Bye.
All right.